Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for a live reaction and player ratings live stream following Liverpool 0, Chelsea 0, and Mykhailo Mudryk's debut, Chelsea debut. As you can see, currently by myself. We will be joined by Bertram and by Pies in just a few minutes' time. I just wanted to start it off by myself and see what the chat has to say. I'm not muted. Well, you're lying, Casey. Unless I am muted and StreamYard is lying to me. But I don't think they will be. Ladies and gentlemen, put it in the chat what you think. Mykhailo Mudryk looks absolutely outrageous. The guy's not even fit. He hasn't played an actual game of football since November, 23rd? He comes on and he turns us from a team that looks like we're never going to score a goal ever to looking like we could score any minute. Now, we didn't score a goal in the end, but we looked a hell of a lot better and more dangerous anyway. So, all right. Calm down, Chelsea, all the way. Calm yourself. I can't just block you, so you don't need to be here. Do you know what I mean? If you have such a problem, go away. But anyway, Mudryk looked absolutely phenomenal. Now, what about the rest of the game? We obviously had a goal disallowed very early, the second or third minute. Unfortunately, the rules are the rules, I guess, because I guess by the rules he is offside. But, he was behind Thiago Silva. Why couldn't Thiago Silva just score? Because he hit the bar, it bounces back to Havertz, and he puts it in, but he's offside. Oh, my days. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. Put it in the chat what you guys think, because, all right, it's simple. See you, mate. I think this was a bit of a step in the right direction because I know in the end we only had 50. Well, I say only, but in the end we had 52% of the ball. But to dominate the game, especially the first half an hour, 35 minutes at Anfield, it's not an easy thing to do. Now, Liverpool came out the blocks like crazy at the beginning of the second half. Well, we found our way back in once Mudryk came on. They were maybe slightly better team in the second half. And, someone says, I wonder what Potter tells them at halftime. Yeah, I do agree that in-game things need to improve a little bit. At the same time, it's still Liverpool away. Liverpool are the home team. Liverpool are at Anfield. Liverpool, it's somewhat acceptable that they will have, more of a bounce in the second half than we do. But is it? I don't know. But I still think in general, this was a bit of a step in the right direction. I'm not sure if everybody agrees with that, but I'm not saying it's a huge step. I'm not saying we're amazing now. And, that draw isn't enough for really anybody, not for us, not for Liverpool, to get us in a top 4 fight again or anything. But I still feel like it's a step in the right direction. I still feel like a point at Anfield, even if Liverpool have a lot of injuries, not even half the injuries we have, mind you. I still think it's an acceptable result, Is it just me that thinks that? Is it just me that thinks that? I did actually want to bring that up on screen earlier, but I forgot because I didn't want just my huge face on your screen. So yeah. Obviously, boss at HTSX is gonna, try to put a negative spin on it. Liverpool were awful. Well, yeah, when we do something well, the opponent is awful. When we are bad, we are awful. It's never then the other team was good. Of course, it never is. Everyone's just always so negative. Just be a bit more upbeat, man. Just be a bit more upbeat. We couldn't get a point to save our lives just a couple of weeks ago. Now we get a point away at Anfield. Take the positives, man. Take the positives. And the issue is, like Mr. Doza says here, another injury. Another injury. Now, hopefully it's not too bad. But Chalobah did seem like he had to come off injured, which is obviously not fun and not ideal. But yeah, the defense, Thiago Silva, Badiashile, absolute ballers. Mudryk, absolute baller. We'll talk about Lewis Hall. We'll talk about Cucurella. We'll talk about Hakim Ziyech, who had a lot of very good moments, a couple of really bad ones, but way more, very good moments, absolutely. And we'll talk about the disallowed goal as well. Let me bring in my wonderful guest. I will start with my good friend Pies. Pies, thank you for joining me. I will also bring in Bertram. I was in it for a second. I was like, let me bring them in at separate times. But no, let's not do that. Let's just bring you on together. Pies, you sharing my sentiments where it's it's not the win that we needed or wanted, but it still weren't that bad. It's still kind of, I think, a positive step at least. Would you go along with that, or are you just disappointed that we didn't win?
I'm a bit disappointed, to be honest. I got to say, I think we should have won the game today, but I didn't expect us to play that well. I thought we played really well. I just thought we kind of nullified Liverpool a lot. I know they've not been great, but I think the lineup he he kind of got it right in terms of like the press, in terms of like how we nullified them. Like, obviously on the ball, it wasn't the greatest. It had some downsides to it, but yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed we didn't win. I mean, I don't know whether they put like extra sprinters, ready for Mudryk to come on so he'd fall over, but everyone was falling over today. I mean,
Yeah.
that one where Chukwuemeka and Mudryk were linking up, that was the perfect goal. He was about to shoot in the bottom corner and then he just falls over. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of disappointment, but also quite. I'm quite happy, to be fair. I'm quite happy. I guess the annoying thing is it doesn't really do anything for either team. It just kind of like it's kind of the same position as we were when we kicked off. But
imagine we lost today, and now we don't have a game for 2 weeks. Obviously, if people are on the way, our next game is on February 3rd, Friday, February 3rd. Imagine going into that 2-week break now on the back of a loss, on the back of a draw at Anfield. I think we can go into that with at least enough of a positive mindset that we're not just going to all scratch our eyes out. And also, I feel like a win wouldn't have been a good, just a good addition to the mood, to the situation in training and stuff as well. So, again, I'm not saying it's amazing, but it could have been worse. I agree with you that we could have won. I'm not quite sure if I would go as far as should have won, because Liverpool had a couple of chances as well, like that Trent one on another day that goes in. The Salah volley in the first half, which just completely misses the ball with just an awful attempt. We've certainly seen Salah score those types of things. So, I think a draw is not an unfair result, but obviously we're Chelsea fans, so we could have scored, they could have scored, so we could have absolutely won it for sure. Let me take it to Bertram before I will bring it back to Pies after that. Bertram, do you agree with my sentiment? Somewhat a step in the right direction, somewhat positive. Certainly, I found Mykhailo Mudryk to be positive. Now, I had high hopes for him. I think all of us kind of put a little bit too much of our hopes on him, if I'm honest. But for a guy that hasn't played a real game of football since November 23rd and making his debut in the Premier League, he looked good, didn't he?
Well, yeah, I think there was many positives to take from that game, even though we could have won, as you said. I wouldn't go as far as to say we should have won, but I think a lot of it was very different because we had some players who I thought played absolutely fantastically, some who were, not as good. Someone we'd like to highlight, I think, our defense, especially, Badia Shield, Thiago Silva were brilliant. I had high hopes for Mudryk, and I would have hoped to see him start, but, he hasn't played since the 23rd of November, as you said. So it does make sense. I was so happy to see him come in and actually be good. You could imagine if he'd come on and showed the issues, which would be fair to have. And then the English media would begin slating him because we'd spent, the amount of money on him that we have. But I think we played fairly well, not up to standard. I think in a normal season where we're, more settled, where we'd be going for top 4, I think we should have been winning this game. But seeing as we're in the same position right now, if not worse, as Liverpool, with double the amount of injuries, even though everyone seems to think we have the same amount, I think it's more than fair to come away with the draw.
As you just say that, by the way, I'm going to bring that up on screen because I literally had it prepared to talk about it. So there you go.
Exactly. The amount, and, even though they have marquee players out as well, so do we, both our wing backs. And I think we'll get into talking to them. But, encouraging performance. We didn't fall through. And now it gives us 2 weeks to work. And hopefully, our fullbacks will be back within 2 weeks. And Chalobah won't be that serious. So those are my initial thoughts.
Yeah, no, fair play. And I mean, I think you made a good point with the injuries. And this list doesn't even actually show Mateo Kovacic, who wasn't in the squad today either. Now, I'm not sure, maybe Pies knows, but I, at this moment in time, don't know what the reason is. He wasn't in the squad. He was on the bench, didn't start the game. Apparently, now, Pies' information was that he was supposed to start. I think Felix Johnston had the information that Gallagher was starting already yesterday. So I don't know what the situation there is. I don't know either of their sources, so I can't claim who to believe more. I don't know. Sorry if Pies is offensive now that I'm not claiming his sources, right? I don't know. But presumably Kovacic is injured, so add another one to this list. And not just that, mind you. Look at the players like Chilwell, Fofana, James, Felix, Kante, Sterling, Zakaria, and while Mudryk wasn't fit to start, Pulisic. So other than 2 players plus Kovacic, every single one of these players, aside from Broja and Mendy, would start. And you could even make a case for if Broja was fit, that he should potentially start over Havertz. So maybe only one player, and some people will even argue that Mendy should play. So some people would argue every single one of our players that is injured or suspended would or should start. and they're comparing it to these couple of injuries here. Ridiculous. Now, obviously, they didn't have everyone fully fit. Milner just came back from injury. Trent is kind of not 100%. That's why he only came on, I think. Darwin Nunez was slightly injured and came off the bench. So, but still, it's not the same. Even if the media and Jurgen Klopp himself tried to portray it as, us two unlucky teams with all our injuries. Sod off. Liverpool wouldn't even have a flipping team to field if they had the injuries we have. Absolutely outrageous. But, Pice, have you found out anything about the situation of Kovacic just yet? And otherwise, obviously, as Bertram touched on that, maybe touch on the injuries as well.
Yeah, no, I haven't found anything out yet. But yeah, I was told he was supposed to start. But I mean, could be wrong. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, the injuries.
Maybe he was supposed to start, just not instead of Gallagher. I guess that could be
the injuries.
Potentially in midfield.
I'm not sure, but the injuries were or are insane. I mean, it's just. This is why I'm quite positive today, because you look at that lineup and we went to Anfield and we pretty much dominated them. I can't lie, they had about a 10-15 minute spell in the second half. Other than that, we pretty much had all the ball. We had quite a lot of chances. There was
52% in the end, though. I feel like we had times where we dominated it, and then there was times where they dominated it. I don't know. So otherwise, how would we end up at 52, right?
That surprises me, honestly. I felt like we dominated the large majority of the match. I think. On the ball as well, especially passing, Badiashile looks so composed. It's just a massive difference to Koulibaly. Kepa as well. I've got to say, lately Kepa on the ball, you ain't getting this with Mendy. I can't lie, you ain't getting this with Mendy. He's so composed. He just, you know what I mean. So I was really impressed with our playing out of the times where they pressed today as well. And there was chances as well where maybe it didn't end up in a chance, but if the choice of the ball was different, then it could have ended up in a chance. So I think today's positive, man. When you look at those injuries, loads of them are starters. You got Fofana probably would start. I don't know about the moment, but he would be starting usually. Yeah. You'd have James. I mean, Kante, we still include him, but we haven't seen him for ages anyway. Yeah. You got Broja off the bench.
But if we were imagining them as being fully fit, pretty much all.
Our team fully fit is really good, especially with the new recruitment. So it's just a shame they're not there, but hopefully we can. I mean, we've got 2 weeks now, so like you said, thank God we didn't lose, because that would have been unbearable. For the next 2 weeks, just thinking about all you'd be thinking about is going and getting the win, the game after. But now we can kind of
it's okay.
I feel like the team will take that, and they'll hopefully we can build on it. So.
Yeah, no, mate, I could not agree more. I've brought it up on screen. That was the team we played with. Now, we shifted formations in and out. In times, it was a 4-2-3-1 with Haaland, Jorginho as a pivot, Gallagher as a 10. And then it shifted to almost even a back five in very certain moments where Chalobah obviously dropped in as a third centre-back. Ziyech dropped super deep as almost like a right wing-back. But to me, it's just, a defensive right-back, and then the winger just has to help out more. We didn't call it a back five when Willian tracked back as a right winger, did we? So, but anyways, first main formation, I would say it was this 4-3-3 with Gallagher being pushed up higher. Lewis Hall also pushed wide at times to almost act like a little wing back, or when we got into the final third, like a left winger, and Mount came central to a number 10 role, or 2 number 10s with Mount and Gallagher. So it was very interesting, very, very interesting. What did you make of the team when you first saw it, Bertram? Because obviously, we as always, if you follow it on Twitter, I'm not sure if you actually do, Bertram, but there's always we know this guy starts, And then there was a bit of confusion, like I say, about Hall starts, but not in defense. And then it was Gallagher starts. Okay, Gallagher doesn't. Oh, what was it? Gallagher starts, and then was or does he? Or whatever. And everyone was a little bit confused. Oh, no. Then first it was Mudryk starts, and he didn't. And yeah. But in the end, this is the team we got. I guess the one surprise would have been Lewis Hall, not playing left back, but then instead playing in midfield. Was that the main surprise to you? Otherwise, I guess if Mudryk doesn't start, kind of what you'd expect, I guess, and aside from obviously Kovacic. But now that we have to assume that he's injured, obviously that is a forced situation.
Well, I think Hall was definitely the main surprise, seeing as we usually play him at wing back, and then trying to give him his debut as a central midfielder away at Anfield. It is ballsy, I'm not gonna lie. But other than that, I think
I guess who else would you have played though with Kovacic?
Exactly, it does. I know it does make sense when you look on it, because we did beat Palace with pretty much this lineup. I think the way I saw it, I don't know about you two, but it kind of almost looked like we built up in like a 3-back.
Yeah.
And
But I feel like we always do that, though, regardless of personnel, because
we
when
usually
Reece James
do.
was fit or when Aspie played and we didn't change it yet, Cucurella stayed deep and we built in a back three that way. And now it's Chalobah and then Cucurella pushes a bit. But yeah, someone in the chat mentioned it. Hall was certainly at times also there, and it was kind of a 4-1-4-1 at times as well. But, we're not going to get too deep into details of formation because it's so fluid under Graham Potter. We're never going to get anywhere. Sorry to interrupt you, bro. Go on.
No, exactly. I think Ziyech wasn't as deep as he was against Palace as well, but I think his role was quite good, acting like a playmaker from the deep right. But generally, I think this is what you would expect, seeing the position we're in. I would have hoped to see Mudryk start, but at the end of the day, if he doesn't have the fitness, he doesn't have the fitness,
Yeah.
And those are, I think, otherwise than that, it did make sense. And I hope to see a better midfield moving forward because I thought that was our one lack today, generally.
I agree. I absolutely agree. Pice, I get to you. What was your thoughts? Before we get into details, I see a couple of people in the chat already complaining about certain individuals. We will get to all of them. But guys, by the way, we nearly have 400 people watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're on the road to 20,000 subscribers. Every new subscriber really means well and counts a lot. So hit that big red subscribe button down below and smash the like button as well. That helps me spread these videos and streams out to more people because that's how the YouTube algorithm works. Pice, what was your thoughts when you saw the team? Or when we actually knew the final team, Hall in midfield? Well, I guess we didn't know that when the team came out because there was somewhat debates. Could it have been a back five? Blah, blah, blah. But when we saw it on the pitch, Hall in midfield, Cucurella left back, kind of a midfield, a 4-3-3 mount, this weird 10/left winger, whatever it is supposed to be. What did you make of that? I guess with the injuries we have, not really much else you could have done, really. Like, I guess you could have put a Chukwuemeka in midfield, but would you want a Chukwuemeka in the whole position where he needs to drop next to Jorginho at times as a double pivot? Would you want that? I don't know. So, go on.
Just like thoughts on the lineup in general. Yeah. I mean, when it first released, I was like, "The hell is that?" I thought I couldn't work out what formation or what it was, but yeah, I'm glad it was. Well, yeah, I think it was mainly a 4-3-3. I think Hall and Gallagher they really worked well in terms of, as I said, nullifying Liverpool. Like we didn't really allow them much space, and every time they got on the ball, like Hall and Gallagher would just push up and press them straight away. And obviously Gallagher gave away a few fouls, but I think that was shown by his pressing, like how tight he was on them. The fact that he was giving some fouls away. So, yeah, I mean they did good. They did good. But there was some issues on the ball in midfield. Felt we really lacked technical ability. I think Hall was he had a bit of a stinker on the ball, but I mean the rest of the team didn't really have much problems with. Good to see Chalobah there again. Hopefully he's all right. Aspie was okay when he came on. Defended that cross well at the end. But yeah, I mean the rest of the team. Not sure who else you'd pick. To be honest.
Yeah, no, exactly. There's not really that much more to add. So I would say let's just get into the player ratings and start with Kepa. Pice, you praised him highly earlier. I think rightfully so. Didn't have any outrageous saves to make, but was, did his job when called upon. So I don't think we can go too high just because there wasn't anything crazy difficult that he had to deal with. But in general, playing out from the back was good. The couple of saves he had to make, he did well. So, decent performance. It's difficult when the goalie has games like this, then you sat there, I'm like, even if we had the best goalkeeper in all of the world, it wouldn't make a single difference because they're not going to be better than Kepa on the ball. I don't think any goalkeeper is going to be better than Kepa on the ball, personally. So, couldn't have really done better no matter who the goalkeeper was today, right?
Yeah, no, I think I just think just his ability on the ball was just so calm. I think that was reflected throughout the whole back line. Badia, Shields, Silva, and Kepa, those three specifically.
Yeah.
Just very, very good on the ball, and I think that helped us. We just kept onto the ball very well. And there's definitely games where you think, all right, we can keep the ball. Yeah, we pass it around fine, move it forward. But I think at Anfield, you have to do that for a bit. Try and make them then press onto you and then hit a long ball. I mean, Silva hit a couple of long balls that were really good. So, but yeah, in terms of Kepa, I think I'd probably give him like a 7, probably.
I would go along with that. I know Jem just put in the chat. Hello, Jem, by the way. Big up yourself. Said 6. I think the passing and the calmness under pressure, even though Liverpool didn't press super high, because they have also players missing, and they also knew if they did, we'd have too much space, which is also why we struggled so much in midfield, while our defenders looked so good on the ball, because they didn't really pressure the defenders as much, while they pressured the midfielders like constantly. I think that's partly why it looked so difficult, and because Jorginho is Jorginho, but Hall being young, inexperienced, Gallagher being young, less inexperienced but still young. Literally turned 22. He turns 23 in February, but still. I would agree on a 7. Bertrand, would you agree on a 7, or do you not think he had to do enough to get that high of a rating?
Well, to be honest, guys, I would give him a 7.5. I thought he was great.
Oh.
I thought his distribution, especially, Liverpool, they're used to being one of the teams who are great at pressing. They aren't very much now, but he looked calm. I think the defense as well looked calm. They always looked assured, which is something you always have to give credit for the goalkeeper as well, communicating. Yeah. I think his crossing, especially as well. I think he came out well for a couple of crosses, asserted this area, as well as you can. And personally, for me, I think a tough away game. I think he showed, some cojones, as Trodini would say, to come out. And I think he deserves a 7.5. Not to say that he'll be my man at the match or anything, but I think we should give him his plaudits. Kept a clean sheet, second game in a row. Caught some really not difficult balls, but tough shots. Caught them. Didn't really do anything wrong. I think I'd reward him with the 7.5.
Fair. I mean, you mentioned it there. He came for a couple of crosses. Maybe one he didn't quite get enough on. It's all like, he can improve on it, absolutely, and I hope he gets better and better at it eventually. But a lack of height and a lack of maybe physical stature will always be a somewhat limiting factor for a goalie in those situations, especially depending on who's in front of him, their own defenders, opposition attackers, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I agree. Good performance, 2 7s, 1 7.5. We'll keep it at the 7, but we move on. And I want to go back to one of my favorite players at the moment. I'm such a big fan. Benoit Badiashile, our own Big Ben at the back. I mean, absolutely love it. Huge fan. And I'll honestly say it. Someone said it here in the chat. Where was it? I need to actually find it. Fofana is not starting over Badiashile. And I'll be perfectly honest with you. Fofana did have a couple of games before he obviously got injured. I don't think Fofana looked as good as Badiashile as in the last 2 games in any of those. And this is not to say Fofana won't at some point be better or be great anyway. But I just want to not try to slag Fofana off in the slightest. What I'm trying to use this for is to praise Badiashile. Because for a signing that, and I'll be perfectly honest, I wasn't 100% sure about, because I'm like, why are we signing this like 30, 40 million euro player from Monaco? He's played a lot of games for them, but is that really what we need when we've got Colwell? And, I don't know. But so far, he's been super, super, super impressive. Now, maybe at the very beginning of the game, he had a couple of, not perfect passes. But hey, it's his first game of flipping Anfield. The kid's 21. Like, as much as he's 6'4" and even looks old, he's still 21. Like, for these kind of guys, you got to give them a little bit of leeway. And I know people don't like it because we're building a young team, and that is obviously the unfortunate part of building a young team. But a young team, no matter how talented, will have a few problems with inexperience. But I still think in the grand scheme of things, what an impressive player. I'm so happy that we have him. Honestly, I can't even put it into words how happy I am with Badiashile. Maybe I'm even slightly over-exaggerating how good he is, how good he was, and how happy I am. But it's just coming from how happy I am with it and with him. Just great. Especially compared to what, unfortunately, Koulibaly has shown so far. Again, can't give up on him just yet. But at the moment, I don't see how he gets back in the team, if I'm being honest, other than when Thiago Silva gets rested. I will give Badiashile an 8. I think I'm not sure. Maybe you'd even go 8.5 and give Thiago Silva the 9. I think Thiago Silva deserves even higher. But yeah, I'm thinking 8.5. Bertrand, what would you give our own Big Ben? Big Ben in West London, man.
Yeah, Big Ben in West London. I thought he was amazing. Again, I think an 8 is very fair. Looked calm under pressure while passing. I think that's what you'll get when you sign someone from Monaco, especially someone who's had Thierry Henry as a manager. I think then you'd have to expect them to have some, calmness around them to sustain that. I think he was great. I think another aspect of him is his height as well.
Yeah. Something
that we desperately need, while defending set pieces, something we saw against Palace. Well. He did have a good chance. You would wish he did better, but, it was a fair effort and a good save from Alisson as well.
The instinct was there. Sorry to interrupt you.
Exactly.
Again, the instinct was there that you tried to go, across the run of across the goal, like against the run of Alisson. Like you saw at least some logic there. I mean,
yeah, he anticipated it well, and especially against Palace when he completed all but 2 of his passes, like 71 passes out of 73 or something. Very cool. So, for this performance, I think an 8 is fair. I think we have a gem on our hands, and I don't agree with the fact that now that we have him, we shouldn't have someone like Colwell as well. He can't play every game. But a real gem we have here, and someone who has gone under the radar with our other big money signings. So very, very happy with him. An 8 for me for sure.
Fantastic. Before I take it to Pies, let me just quickly react to this comment here by the Balderus, saying, Badiashile has flaws in this game, not always focused and not so comfortable in the air. Calm down otherwise you will be disappointed, I assume, with praise. Obviously we'll have flaws in this game. Which 21-year-old doesn't? I'll say that. I'm not so sure how you came to the conclusion of that he's uncomfortable in the air or not so comfortable in the air. I don't agree with that. Not always so focused. I think it's maybe more of a hesitation of being a young player that's making his first few appearances. You're maybe going to be a little bit indecisive in some moments, which isn't ideal, but totally natural. So I think every bit of praise so far is warranted. It doesn't mean we're now, people love negativity. Absolutely. Josh, thank you. I could not agree with this more. Absolutely. They just love to be negative. People just love it. I don't know why they do. I feel like since 2020, everyone just loves to be negative. But anyway, Pice, do you agree with the 8? Do you think we're slightly overdoing it? Because I just think he's been great these last two games. Doesn't mean he's going to be this great forever, but so far he's been very good in my opinion.
Hey, I mean, we haven't conceded of him when he started, so exactly. I mean, he's done good. He's done very good. I think I don't necessarily agree with like in the air stuff. I think sometimes when the ball like when he has to chase back and like head it, like that's when I think I noticed that a bit against Palace. He looks a bit hesitant, but I mean, who wouldn't?
You know why though? Sorry,
you're literally running and trying to head the ball.
Huh? You know when Chalobah had that one backwards header against Palace where we nearly kind of conceded from? Those kind of headers are, I think, what you explained that Badiashile is hesitant does. I'm like, but I understand though. Imagine he screws that up. He's a new player. If that leads to a goal, then he's going to get dropped. Who knows when he's going to get back into the team? So as much as I agree with you, absolutely, I still find it understandable, but maybe I'm being nice. I don't know.
I mean, he looks good, man. He'll only improve as well. He's only played two games for us, so like he'll only improve. He'll only get better, and I think just a huge difference with him and Koulibaly in terms of on the ball, but just off it as well. Like he doesn't rush out and clamp attackers for no reason. He doesn't give stupid fouls away all the time. So yeah, I think he looks really, really good back there. There was one moment where I'm not sure. I have to watch it again, but on the replay, it looks like Gakpo had a shot. He got into a shot in the box. I thought he could have got across quicker, but other than that, I think he was really, really good. To be fair, I mean the 8's totally warranted. I can't lie; it's definitely warranted for how good he was on the ball and just how calm he is as well. I think he gives you that sort of calming presence back there, and we kind of miss that because when we don't have Thiago Silva, like it's not the same. So to have, I'm not saying he's as calm and composed as Silva, certainly not, but he definitely gives off that. Yeah, he definitely gives off that aura, doesn't he? Like and I think that's why a lot of our fans are excited with Colwell as well, because I mean I haven't watched too much of him, but apparently he's very, very much the same, very calm, doesn't get phased, good on the ball, and I think Badiashile as well. It's not just about passing it around, like. You see, you mentioned a couple of times he gave it away, but how many times did he make those line-breaking passes into the middle? How many times did he look forward with the ball? Like that's a big difference for me. And when you're good on the ball, like it's all right going for them, but when you're actually good and you complete them, then you get the praise. I feel like Koulibaly tries to, but he often just gives it away too much, and that leaves to chances for the other team. So yeah, I'd go with an 8.
Fair, brilliant. Pice, you know what? I'll just stick with you. Get to Thiago Silva. I will also highlight a tweet of yours in a second, so I will get the team off the screen in a second, but I've seen you posted some stats of his, so might as well bring them up as we talk about him. Thiago Silva vs Liverpool, 6 clearances, 3 blocked shots, 1 saved the goal, absolutely, basically a goal line clearance, 3 interceptions, 3 out of 5 duels won, 0 times dribble past. Sky Sports man of the match. Very good performance.
I meant BT Sports, but I can't edit it now.
Well, it's what it is.
Yeah,
we don't like BT anyway, so.
Yeah, no. For my rating for Silva, I'd probably go 8.5. I would go higher, but I still feel like he could have scored that goal in the box. I know it hit the post, but I feel like he should have scored.
Yeah.
But other than that, he was very good. I think
It's just our typical luck, isn't it? Our best chances fall to the defenders.
yeah, and I mean,
Just our luck, man.
yeah, I know. I don't know. I kind of held off on my celebration with that because I thought it was offside when Silva took it, and then we scored, and yeah, I just knew that was going to happen. But
I was pretty sure it was on when Silva took it, and to be honest, I didn't even consider the option that Havertz might have been off. So I was very convinced it was a goal, but it's what it is, I guess.
I mean, other than that though, he was great. I think BT Sports, they mentioned how like he helped Badiashile a lot, like just composure, like talking to each other all the time. Yeah, I think he was really good.
But what rating would you give him, man?
I give him an 8.5.
Fair. Bertrand, would you agree on an 8.5? Would you go even higher than that to a 9? Or do you think not scoring that chance, and I guess he didn't have 5 out of 5 duels, he had 3 out of 5. Maybe not quite enough for a 9. Would you go along with the 8.5?
Yeah, I'd second the 8.5. I think it'd be more just, he was a bit better than Badiashile. Not much more he could do, to be honest. It's unfortunate that he didn't score the chance, but he's a center back. That's how these things go. It was a terrible moment as well. You finally celebrate a goal, see that he's an offside, and then this is terrible. No, I thought he was just, again, all the time, so effortless, so fantastic. Whenever like the Liverpool attackers neared him or the ball neared him, you're never worried that he's gonna miskick it or they're going to run around him or something. Just so composed and so important for Badiashile as well, both speaking French. So I think at second 8.5, especially, the marquee thing in my head is definitely the goal line clearance. I think it's different because if he wasn't there, Kepa maybe would have gone after it. But, you can't slate him for that. So I'd give him an 8.5. I think he was great. And the commentators over on my end, they're convinced that this is his last season because he's 39. I think they obviously don't watch enough of us because I think
he only turns 39 in September. Let's not age shame.
Exactly, and he just keeps looking better. So let's hope we can keep him on as long as he wants, to be honest. So I give him the 8.5.
Fair. I can only agree with what you guys have said so far. I don't really have much to add, if I'm honest. So, let's just keep it simple, keep it short, keep it sweet. 8.5 for Thiago Silva, definitely the highest rating that we're going to give out today. But we move on to Trevor Chalobah. Unfortunately, picked up some sort of injury quite late on. Also got himself booked because for some reason he didn't walk off the pitch. I find it now. I understand the ref told him to walk off the pitch and then he didn't. But really, he only walked in front of the goal and then walked off the pitch anyway. And he booked him. Is that really necessary, Michael Oliver? I don't know. But hey, is what it is. Let's hope it just won't affect us. But in the grand scheme, I thought he did okay. Nothing outrageous. I do think you can just tell that he's a centre back and isn't super comfortable defending the wide areas. That's why it might be tactical as well, but he always is very tight, very central. And then whenever there's something happening on the wide areas, he left more Ziyech to deal with it than himself often, especially with when Andy Robertson pushed up. But I still don't think he was awful. In possession, he was okay. He didn't lose possession in crazy areas. He won a couple of fouls on the sidelines as well. So I thought he did okay. I'm now thinking whether does he deserve more than a 6? Or is a 6 about what I should go with? I'm difficult, 6.5, maybe. Maybe I'd go 6.5. Bertrand, what would you give him? Maybe I'm off here. I'm not fully decided yet.
I'd go 6.5 as well. I think he wasn't as good as the two other players, maybe because he doesn't speak French. But I think it was fine. Play him out of position as well. Having to build up on the right side. Far right, especially, seeing as he almost played or built up as a right back. I thought he was all right. I think he was clearly not our best defender today, I would say. So I think a 6.5 above average, keeping a clean sheet away from Anfield, keeping them away from the largest chances, I think he was all right. He doesn't really stand out in my mind as much as the two others, which I think that cements the 6.5.
Fair. JCam actually makes a fair point. Chalobah does actually speak a little bit of French because he spent a season on loan at Lorient, actually. But I guess how much of the French did he learn? Maybe they all spoke English there, for all I know. What did you say, Sam? Should I read this loud? Okay. Sam, Team News guy, has good sources on Chalobah. He says it's a cramp and he is fine. Well, that is fantastic news. I don't understand why he's got a cramp. He doesn't play that much recently, but sure, it happens. So, even better. Pice, would you go along with the 6.5 or would you go for something different? Let us know.
I think you're around there. I was tempted to give him a 7 because Kepa got a 7, but I think I don't know.
Hey,
I might.
if you convince
Yeah.
me, if you give me good reasons, I might change my mind to your 7 as well.
I just taking in like Anfield and stuff, man. I think uncomfortable position as well. I think he did quite well. I can't remember any. I can't remember any time he actually got beat 1v1 at all. Really, did he get?
I
beat?
agree, but is that because he always just stayed so central that Ziyech had to deal with the wide stuff?
Yeah, I mean, could be, but then I guess
That could be tactical and not his fault as well, to be fair.
Yeah, I guess I was
You
going to
know
say
what?
that.
I'm going to give it to you, mate. I'm going to give you.
Yeah, I think he deserves it. Yeah.
Okay.
7.
Hey, let's give him the 7. Why not? Why the hell not? I see a few people in the chat. I do try to follow the chat on my phone here as well while I have the lineup up on screen. People like Indefinite. People just love negativity. Where is it? Lost it again, but hey, it is what it is. Just stop being so negative, man. We're clearly in a difficult moment. We're trying to get ourselves out of the moment. So while we're in the process of getting us out, you're not going to go from dreadfully awful and some of the worst football we've ever played, basically in the history of this football club, or at least since 2000 or since 1990 something. It's not going to happen from one day to another to go from dreadful to amazing. It's not going to happen. Yeah, like it's going to be a bit of a process, and there's no point in just constantly being negative while we're slowly improving, I think, anyway. Let's get to Marco Corella on the other side. Hasn't played the last 3 games, or at least didn't start the last 3 games, unless I'm mistaken. Potter said yesterday in the press conference about something with he's had some family issues, whatever those may be. Maybe, for all we know, it could be an excuse by Potter for not playing him. We don't know. But he did okay today. Now, it still riles me up at times when he gets into forward positions and his first immediate instinct is pass it back. And when he should run forward, his immediate instinct is, no, I'm not going to run forward. I'm going to stay back, especially while the right back is Chalobah. When the right back is Reece James, sure, I understand that a little bit more because maybe for security. But when the right back is Chalobah, you have that freedom to push. Well, at least I'd hope and assume so, because we can't just have 2 defensive fullbacks. We're never going to get anywhere. Then we might as well play a back 3 because like this, we have 4 defensive players. In a back 3, we only have 3, But I still think in the grand scheme of things, he did okay. I think there was a lot of good tackles. He did good against Salah in the grand scheme of things, I felt. I would honestly give him the same 7 as we gave Chalobah. Pice, would you agree with that? Or do you not think he was that good? Or would you even go higher?
I'd go higher, honestly. I think he was very good today. I think he got skinned by Salah once. I think my frustration...
once, not that bad.
Yeah, my frustration with him, like you, is just he just does not want to go. He doesn't want to cross. He doesn't want to... Like, even when he was forward, there was one where like we had a corner and I was like, yeah, put a cross in. I think he just played it to the side to him, to another player. I was like, so he could cross. I was like, what? I don't understand. But defensively, though, I thought he was very, very good. I thought, he was always tight on Salah. He didn't really allow him that room. I thought, just really sort of like, I don't know the word to this, kind of like Gallagher was just kind of like snappy on them, like just didn't really allow them much room. It was the intensity, I guess, is what I'm looking for. That type of thing. So I'd give him a 7.5. I think a 7.5. Not much higher, but I would go higher.
Maybe you've convinced me. And on what basis that I'm not yet sure whether this is a Potter instruction that he doesn't do more offensively or whether it's purely him. Because I know at Brighton he played as a wing-back at times as well. And obviously as a wing-back, you're going to be more offensive. But I still, at Brighton, the guy, again, he was never the best offensive fullback. Never has been. But he was still better than and more willing to do it than he was today. But then again, in a way, also 7.5 does feel a little high. I don't know yet. Bertram, what would you give him? Or do you think a 7.5 is justified?
I would have even given him the same 7.5 I would have given Kepa. I thought he was very good, very solid. I can't help but feel that we've been sold like a different player. In my head, when we signed him, I thought we bought this all-out attacking left back. But when your expert came and explained, the stats he has, it does make sense that he isn't as offensive as we'd like him to. But I thought defensively was quite good. I don't think he was up against Salah that much, especially in the first half. But when they moved him to the right, I thought he dealt with them all right. He did maybe have some issues when Milner came up with him as well at some points, but I thought he dealt with it overall quite well. But again, Anfield clean sheet, I think he deserves. I give him the 7.5 as well. An energetic performance, and I think Offensively, I can't really remember him, and I think we should work on that because it is something that we need to, morph into. But I think when we play a forward at the back, he's going to be fine. So for a really good defensive performance, I'd give him the 7.5.
There you go. Fair enough. A mid-table manager, of course. What were managers that weren't, what was Jurgen Klopp before he went to Dortmund? What was Pep Guardiola before he joined the Barca A team? He was just a B team manager. What was Jose Mourinho before he joined Porto? A manager doesn't just start as the top level manager. It doesn't work. It's like a footballer. You don't just start at 12 years old starting for Real Madrid. No, you have to work yourself there. Working yourself there as a manager takes longer because you don't start it at 12. You start you can't be a manager at 12, can you? So just negativity. I think Potter today did well. If anything, if we had a few more players available, we win the game with what Potter did today, in my opinion. But hey, here we are. Let's get to Jorginho. This is a difficult one because all of the three midfielders I felt had very good spells and had poor spells. I think that applies for all three of them equally. So I would give Georgie. Shall I look at some stats? You know what, Bertrand? Why don't I let you go first? I try to look at some stats and maybe I will help you with those as well once I get to them.
Yeah, I thought he was definitely more significant in the second half when we were trying to build up. When he came, in between the two center backs, when I thought he was all right. But it almost seems like he doesn't fill as much. It kind of seems like our midfield is quite thin. It might just be an observation or whatever. But I think I would give him. I think I'd give him a 6.5 if I'm honest, personally, just above average. I think for what he's good at, he was all right at it today. But moving forward, I think our midfield wasn't up to scratch as the rest of the team, especially the defense. So personally, for me, I'd give him the 6.5. However, I thought he was quite calm. A quite calming presence during the second half when Liverpool pressed up and was one of the ones who did stop us, got us out of the rot of the first 5 minutes of the second half. But I think personally, I'd just give him the 6.5. Above average, he was better than average. So those are my thoughts.
Okay. I hear it. It's interesting. Looking at some stats, his defensive stats are actually really good. 8 out of 10 duels won, compared that to Thiago Silva's 3 out of 5. Both didn't win 2, but, Jorginho was involved in double. That's not a negative to Thiago Silva. Obviously, the centre back is going to be a little bit less than midfielder, but still, that's a good stat. Tackles won 3 out of 5. Ain't bad either. 9 recoveries, 4 interceptions. None of that is bad. He was dribbled past once, but, for Jorginho, that's, certainly better than we've seen it before. A block, a clearance. His offensive stuff wasn't maybe as good. 80% pass accuracy for Jorginho isn't amazing. But I guess, he had 8 passes into the final third, 1 chance created. Here on Football, he actually got the man of the match, interestingly, with a 7.9. I think I might give him a 7, but I'm absolutely in understanding of why 6.5 would be given as well. Pice, what would you give him? Pice, are you here? Sorry, if you're not.
Well, sure. Sorry, I was just watching. John Terry was in the away end at Anfield. It's the best video ever.
Oh, was he? That is amazing. If you want to send the link, maybe I can bring it up.
I'm going to post it on my CFC 365 one.
Yeah,
I think
you post that and then put the link in the private chat.
Fucking brilliant.
If it's only the fans that you can see.
Jorginho. I was going to say John Terry then. John Terry in DM.
I wish we had John Terry. Might have scored 3 goals today with a proper goal scoring centre back.
I thought, do you know what? I'm surprised Bertrand who went 6.5. I'm surprised he went that low. I think at least 7.5 for me. I think he did really well.
Wait, did you say 7.5 or at least 7? Sorry,
7.5. I think.
Okay.
It wasn't like his particular type of game in terms of the amount of touches he want, but not gonna lie, I don't, usually, especially with if you look at the midfield we played, I thought he might get a bit exposed today, but I don't think he did. And I think the times he did get the ball, he got it well. I've also seen he made 6 tackles and 5 interceptions, which is pretty good, to be honest.
I've even seen more, man. The stats I've seen, it said 4 interceptions for me, and it said 5 tackles, but still.
All right.
Obviously, different places for stats.
I think 7.5. Definitely, I think he was pretty good. as I said, like with him as a lone six, I think if you don't have the right midfield, I think you can get exposed. And to be honest, I mean, looking at that on paper, like I don't know whether you credit Jorginho or you credit more Hall and Gallagher, because I think that midfield on paper has the look of, maybe being a bit too attacking, those two pressing high, then Jorginho gets isolated. But it wasn't really like that. So, yeah, I'd go 7.5. Yeah.
Okay. I think I will go with the 7, and it leaves us at the 7 in the middle. Even if I went 7.5, it would leave us at the 7 in the middle. So let's go with that one. And let's get to Lewis Hall. It's such a difficult one for me because, again, let me look at some stats, because the stats will probably not look great. His pass accuracy was only 55%, 17 of 31 completed passes. Isn't good. He had another not amazing and sitter opportunity, but still a reasonable opportunity, and he put it so far wide it went out for a throw-in. Obviously, it was because of the curl on the ball, but still, it's never ideal when you try to score a goal and you put it out for a throw-in. Successful dribble, 0 out of 1. Accurate long ball, 0 out of 4. Tackles 1, 0 out of 2. Recovery 7. Interceptions only 1. Clearances 1. That's okay. Ground duels is not too bad, 4 out of 7, but it's still only 57%. Air duels, 2 out of 2. That's good. But obviously the stats don't show against who that was. So, that's always plays obviously a role. It's weird because to me, he's had moments where I was like, oh yeah, I like it. It's good. He's good. He looks confident. The fact that he's 18 and tries these things. And I also don't mind, obviously the passes, he misplays too many passes clearly. But in general, I don't necessarily have the biggest problem with, because he just tries riskier passes. And I don't necessarily find that the worst thing in the world, because a lot of our players don't. And when those risky passes come off, they gain you so much space. And that's often how you manage to then get yourself past the midfield and then get yourself in forward situation areas to create big opportunities. But if in the end, the pass accuracy is at, 55%? That's not good. And I will also say, when he came off for Mudryk, obviously, Mudryk himself played a role, but also then Mount dropping into the midfield did make us better. So it's difficult. But it was also his first ever professional game in midfield, and that away at Anfield. As much as Liverpool are not in a good moment, that's still super, super difficult. So I think I would be lying to myself if I gave him a 6, but I will still give him a 5.5. Maybe some people will say I should go lower than that, but I think you need to consider... You need to keep in mind that he's 18, that this was his first start in a professional game in midfield. I think you need to consider those things. I know we're trying to objectively rate and judge what we've seen, but I still think those factors need to be taken into account.
Laurenz, wouldn't you say that about, wouldn't you not saying this as an excuse, but wouldn't you give him that leeway if it's where he was playing at left back or something? Like, for me, he looked miles.
I would give him anyway. If you're 18 and you're playing your first few games, I give you that excuse no matter the position, if I'm honest.
What I mean is, I feel like he looked much better on left back or left wing back than he did in his actual position. I know it was his first game, but wouldn't you
I would argue that that's simply because what are 18-year-olds less good at? Less good at being used to the pace, right? That's happening on the pitch. When you're on the side, whether it's as a left wing back or a left back, you can only be attacked from one side, because the other side is the touchline and no player is going to be there. So the whole being aware of your surroundings, being, just under pressure, is a little bit easier on the side, because one side you're going to be safe from. So as much as this is his natural position, I still think midfield's just more difficult. So, that's how I would say, but I also understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, fair enough.
Bacham, what would you give Lewis Hall? Sorry, Pies, I know I could have just asked you for the rating, but I'll get you after. Bacham, 5.5. Fly in the chat said 4. A couple of people agreed with Pies that he's just better at left back. I agree that he's played better at left back than he was today. Absolutely. How can you not agree with that? But I would say 5.5. But again, I understand if people will go for something different. What would you give him?
I can understand, cutting him some slack, because it's his first start in midfield away at Anfield. But for the performance he laid out, I'd give him a 5. I think he wasn't as good as he has been on the wing, but it does make sense when you have suddenly, when you're playing on the wing, you might maybe only have to play a half of the pitch as the sides of the pitch are that close to each other. So I think he was all right. Sometimes he did try some things, but he was just not as good as the other players. You know, I think it looked better when Mount came in, for example, which you would expect as for someone who is, you know, almost going to be on like 200K a week. But for Lewis Hall, 18-year-old in the midfield, I think, you know, you could just see it by the stats as well. He maybe wasn't ready for it, and you know that's our own fault because we don't have the players to play with all their injuries. So I think for the performance he came with today, I'd give him a 5. But that's not to say that he isn't a good player or doesn't have a future here. I think, you know, we should keep playing him, keep trying him, maybe even loaning him out. I think there is a player there, to be honest. So I just give him a 5 for today, if I'm honest. I think him and Mount, you know, battled for the worst player we've played today, but 5 for me.
Okay. Maybe I will be tempted to agree. Pice, a 5.5 so far from me, a 5 from Bertrand. What are you going to give Lewis Hall on the day, mate?
I think I've got to give him a 5. You know, I just think his passing was so bad. I know he can do better as well. Yeah, no, I think 5. There was too many bad passes. Got caught in possession a couple of times as well. I don't know, like I know it's like his first game and stuff, but just feel like he looked like it was a completely unfamiliar position. I just don't understand it really. Like usually he's really good at.
I mean, people had a go at me when I said, you know, just because you played midfield in the youth team doesn't mean you're going to be great in midfield as a professional. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know. He just looks much more comfortable when he has more time on the ball on the left, and he can like drive up the touchline and stuff. So yeah, he had a few heavy touches as well. I'll give him a 5. Yeah, is what it is.
Fair. And by the way, just quickly, we did receive a super chat by Tucheliban much earlier in the stream, but it's about Mason Mount. So my thinking was I'm going to bring it up when we get to Mason Mount rather than at the time. But fair enough. Maybe I will also adjust my range to 5, but not.
Tucheliban is still around, is he?
Tucheliban is still around, yeah. But for a quick second, I will bring up that video of John Terry in the away end that you posted. Obviously, the video. It's obviously clearly in the turnstile. I'm not sure you can Big fan. So you get a like. Follow Chelsea FC 365 on Twitter as well. The link to their website is down in the description. What a video. Hey, man. If only we still had John Terry. I absolutely adore the man. Aside from certain few things that he might have said. But, you know, let's not get into those, please. Conor Gallagher. Difficult one again to me. I said in the first half, thought he's been our best player up until that point. I'm not saying he was the best player in the whole game. But up until that point, I thought he was our best player. And not necessarily by everything he did on the ball, but everything that he did off the ball. Because I think what we did so well in the first half is how quickly we won the ball back often and how we didn't allow Liverpool to really do anything. The only thing that because they could never get through the midfield for the first half an hour, 35 minutes. They could never get the ball to their forwards because mostly Gallagher, but also Hall and Jorginho just stopped them. And then Gallagher was chasing their defenders so hard all the time as well. They just punted the ball long, and then usually our defenders won the ball. So that's why we constantly had the ball in the first half an hour, I felt like. And I thought Gallagher was a big reason for that. That still doesn't alleviate his issues on the ball that I'm not sure he will, unfortunately, ever be able to get rid of because they're just the type of issues I'm not sure that you can practice and learn. Because, again, a little bit like with Hall, but Hall is so young, but I'm like, okay, he might be able to do this, just maybe the occasion got to him a little bit. But the whole being aware of his surroundings, there was a situation where Gallagher received the ball in midfield and he turned around and ran straight into a Liverpool player. I'm like, no, Conor, you need to know that there's a player right behind you. You just need to, that's the whole point of, I'm not sure if you guys have ever watched tactical videos or whatever. Like you see what a good midfielder is by how often they turn and see what's behind them, what's around them, scanning the surroundings. Like the top midfielders constantly do that. And I feel like Gallagher just never knows what's behind him. And that's my big issue with him. And obviously the way he sometimes controls the ball. But that's my big issue with him. And if he can improve on it, amazing. I'm not enough of an expert in football development to know whether that's the thing you can still learn or whether it's something you have or you don't. I'm not 1,000,000% sure. I guess time will tell on Gallagher. But the stats, 21 out of 29 passes, 72%. Not amazing, but it's only 8% less than Jorginho and a lot more than Lewis Hall. He had a shot as well. He had also a moment where he could have done a bit better with it, where he controlled it. In my opinion, should have shot straight away. Then Havertz was kind of in his way, not to Havertz's fault, but they waited too long until he finally got shot off and he got blocked. I mean, he had 0 out of 2 completed dribbles. That's not great, but he had a completed cross. He got himself about defensively, 4 out of 16 duels won. Obviously, offensively, a bit more difficult than defensively. I still wish that we would more quickly get stats of distance covered by players, because I think distance covered doesn't mean everything, but still is a relevant factor, in my opinion, when judging a player's performance. And unfortunately, you never get those stats quickly. But player fact, Conor Gallagher was the most fouled player in the match with 3 times. So, I guess that is a little something. I would give Gallagher... I don't know, man. I kind of want to give him a 7, and I know a lot of people are going to call me an idiot for it, but I feel like he was so crucial today to the part of the game where our midfield didn't get made look silly, and also when we won the ball back high so often. I feel like it was pretty much all Gallagher that caused that almost every time. I'm going to give him a 7. Hey, if you guys think it's lower, fair. If you guys in the chat think it's lower, fair. But I genuinely give it to him. I genuinely give it to him. Yeah. Pice, do you think I'm going crazy? Or what would you give him?
I mean, you're going crazy, but I would give him 6.5, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really good point you mentioned about scanning your surroundings so many times where it just didn't quite have the edge on the other midfielders in terms of like the tactical and just really like the nous of who was around you, really. So yeah, but I think in terms of like he put in a great shift. He was definitely key to us in terms of our press. It was a lot of times where he went forward as well. I think he could have done. There was one where I think he was in the box. Feel like he should have shot first time. He could have done better with that. I think, yeah, you can see it on his face as well. He's not like, I don't know. He's not my favourite player, but I think he does a job. I think he's definitely overhated, for sure. There's definitely a lot of Chelsea fans who just think he's crap. That's definitely not true. I mean, last game against Palace, he was amazing. I don't know whether that was because it was his old team, but I'll give him a 6.5. I do think he was a bit sloppy on the ball and he could have done better in and around the box, but I think he put a shift in and he was key to us in terms of a tactical sense, I think. So yeah, I'll give him a 6.5.
Fair. I mean, maybe you're more right than me. I just don't know. I think Jorginho and him both had their good things. I guess maybe Gallagher had a few more bad things. So maybe you're right. Maybe I should adjust mine to 6.5 as well, especially considering Hall in the end got 5. I mean, Jake Ham said in the chat here, which is not the worst I've ever had, needs to go on loan to Spain or Italy or even Germany to be a better CM, just to learn those kinds of things. Maybe, maybe. It's a tough one because I think Gallagher is the best example of a player that's in a way benefiting, but also in a way suffering from the amount of injuries that we have. Because I think Gallagher is an extremely useful squad player to have. Extremely useful squad player to have. When you need to rotate, bring him in for certain games, so you just need absolute just workhorses in midfield. Super useful, but also to see games out, to bring on an absolute running machine in midfield that can also get you a goal like that winner away at Palace earlier in the season. It's a super useful thing to have. But when he just has to play too much, then I think then obviously you see his certain weaknesses that he has. So I don't really think that he's ever going to be good enough to start for us regularly. But then it just becomes a question of, number one, how much is he worth to us in a market where it might just be worth selling him more than keeping him as a squad player? And also his ambition. Like, is he okay with long-term being a squad player or is he not? Like, it's a difficult one. Difficult battle. A 6.5 from Pice. I think I might have adjusted my 7 to a 6.5 as well. What would you give Conor Gallagher?
Well, I'm happy you started saying the 7. I would give him a 7 personally. And I know the chat, they're not going to be very happy with this. I think he was instrumental to the way we played to start with. When I was watching him play, he reminded me of, a performance worthy of 7. I do agree that off the ball, on the ball, he isn't as good. Whenever he gets the ball, I do get a minor heart attack when he has it in the midfield, especially against a team like Liverpool. But I thought he was all right on the ball today, to be honest. That might be, incorrect, but that's just the assumption I had while watching
For his standards, I agree.
For his standards, he was good. And I think for what he brought to the team and the way we played, I think he was important to it. I think his runs behind, they were stretching Liverpool. The press we put in, the points when we were good, especially in the first half, it was a lot down to his pressing. And I think a lot of the hate he gets isn't really warranted because I can understand, he is not as good on the ball as Cesc. He might not even be as good on the ball as some of our other midfielders. But, what he brings to the team. I think you can't really quantify it. And I agree with what you said before, that he maybe shouldn't be a starter always going forward. But, the amount of running capacity this guy has and the amount of passion he puts into it, sometimes we can always go after players for not showing enough heart, but that's not something we can go against Gallagher for having. So personally, I think for this performance, I would give him a 7. I think he deserves it. And I think there is a lot of work to be done with a player like Gallagher. I said it against Man City, but we have a player who really does love the club, and I think we should invest in. So I would give him a 7. I think he warranted it today.
Okay. I think I'm going to stick to my 6.5. So unfortunately for you, Badram, I think we're going to keep the 6.5 on screen. But I clearly don't think you're very wrong. Otherwise, I wouldn't have even considered the 7, would I? Before we get to Mason Mount, something I wanted to mention. Mitch, I unfortunately forgot to highlight it, so I can't go back to find it now. But apparently, Malo Gusto is not in the squad or not in the starting 11.
He's injured, today. Fortunately.
Sorry?
He's got a minor knock. I got gassed as well.
Flip's sake, Mitch. Well, hey, sounds like we're going to sign him though, because we love a good injured player. So
I mean, I was on that one. Someone messaged me. I was like, "Oh my god, no way!" And then they just, apparently he's got a minor knock. Who knows? It may be fake and something. He may just be saying that. Who knows?
No, it is true. I mean, I still think that Gallagher would be most useful as a right wing back backup if we need that. But obviously, we're not playing a right wing back at the moment, thankfully. But yeah, I think he would be less of a concern sometimes there than he is in midfield. Let's get to Mason Mount. And oh boy, are we in trouble. Oh boy, are we in trouble. Let me get to that Super Chat by Tuchel ban earlier. Again, guys, if you have anything big to add, you're like, you need to discuss this, because obviously I can't mention every chat message. Use the Super Chat function is always massively appreciated. She says, if Chelsea renews Mount, it will be simply for commercial purposes. This man is horrendous. It's just another Gallagher. We have 2 Gallaghers, mate. If only he was another Gallagher today, then he would have been a whole lot better than he sure was. I mean, I disagree with the general sentiment of it. I just think he's in bad form, but he is in bloody dreadful form, man. Like, sure, he was partly on the wing and all sorts, but my God, he did 2 good things today. 2 good, and that's it. One was, and he tried a couple of times, from a throw-in, he tried, on the turn, volley pass over to Ziyech to the other side, which was good. That created Ziyech's run, where Ziyech arguably should have shot earlier, and then potentially could have scored. Instead, everyone's praising him. I don't understand why people find it so easy to praise someone like Ziyech, but find it so easy to criticize people like Havertz. Odd to me, but sure. And the one through ball he played to Mudryk, which got Milner booked. Those were the 2 only good moments that Mason Mount had all game, in my opinion. Everything else he did was kind of pretty awful. I mean, I want to bring up one. Where is it? I've got it up here already. No, that is the wrong one. I need to bring up another one. Give me a second. I will be almost there. Where is it? Why are the bookmarks ordered like this? I bookmarked something. It's either it's been deleted. Yeah, I think my bookmark might have been deleted. What I wanted to get up on screen is the situation where Mount had the ball in the box and should have clearly shot, but instead tried to pass it to Lewis Hall. The pass to Lewis Hall wasn't even any good, and I just don't I know it was your weak foot, but I just cannot comprehend how he would not shoot from there. I mean, if you ever needed the sign that the guy is clearly struggling with confidence, that's it. Like, no matter what you think of him as a player, for a fact that last season he shoots there. Like, that he shoots from that position, not even 2 questions about it. Not even a spare thought of laying it off to anybody. He just shoots. And now he doesn't. If you ever needed the proof that he's struggling with confidence. But what that means, though, is that he shouldn't be playing. I know with current injuries that we need to, but from next game onwards, we now have a 2-week break. We should have players back. Now, obviously, Mudryk will be back fit by then. Who knows who we're going to sign? Obviously, Felix is still suspended, but still, Sterling might be back by the time we next play. He just shouldn't start anymore. I know Chukwuemeka against Palace and even today didn't exactly do himself any favors in starting over Mount, but he just needs to be on the bench, and not just for one game, for a couple of games. Bring him on as a sub, short, but this ain't it, man. This really ain't it. I'm giving him a 2, and that's arguably being nice for the 2 good moments that he had. That, in my opinion, doesn't mean he shouldn't get a contract. Now, I don't think it means he should get 300k. Not by any means. Even 250k, I'm very much in doubt of, depending on what bonus payments that includes. But he certainly should get a new contract. I disagree with Tuchel on that sense, but it wasn't great. It really wasn't great today. I mean, Bacham, is 2 also in the area where you'd go? I assume you didn't think he was good, but what would you rate him today?
I think two is quite low, to be honest, but I can't really argument against it because he wasn't good. I think especially the situation where he passes it to Lewis Hall makes no sense. I think it's always easy to look at a screenshot of a football player and say, oh, in this situation I would have shot and put it top corner or stuff like this. But as you've said, I think last season he does shoot it, and he does at least try to shoot it. Worst case, Alisson saves it or he shoots off target, but at least he's tried. He was dreadful today. He was absolutely our worst player. I'm also in the camp that believes he does deserve a new contract. I think he is a good player. I think he suffers a bit under that. He came in during the transfer ban, and we were forced not to let him in, but play him because we hadn't. We couldn't sign anyone else. I think he was terrible today. He did have the one good moment. I even think the pass to Mudryk was a bit of a stretch. Only because he's faster than Mbappe. He made it. I think not much to say, to be honest.
You could argue that Mount calculated that into the weighting of his
You could,
pass.
but I think in the state he's in, I think
Giving him all the benefits.
And we're quite reaching. I think not going to argue against the 2. I hope to see him play better, especially with the 2-week break. I think he's so scrutinized. I never really understand the scrutiny of him. I understand that he's in a poor reach of form, but who isn't at this point? So I think a 2 is fair, for the performance he laid in today. Definitely our worst winger, attacker, player. So I hope to move on and talk about someone else.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, I am slightly confused by the super chat. Ace Ready, I appreciate it very much, but I'm slightly confused because you say Mad lost the ball 12 times, and he misplaced 8 passes and got dispossessed twice. So even if you add all the stats together, I'm not quite sure how that can end up at 12. Because if you misplace the pass, I guess that's losing the ball. And if you get dispossessed, that's losing the ball. Obviously, the stats might be wrong, or your stat might be wrong, but I'm not quite sure how you get to 12. But that doesn't mean he was any good. He certainly was bad. That's for sure. I mean, Bacham, you can. What rating would you have got? Like 3 or 4? What realm were you thinking before I threw out my 2?
Well, I was thinking a 3.5, but then you bombed us all with the 2, and quite surprised me. But I think it does make sense with the level of performance.
I mean, you could go 3.5. It doesn't really make a difference once you get to those.
But it's not because he scored a couple of own goals, got a red card. Even though that might have spared us watching him. To be honest, could maybe have been the best way to go about it. But
maybe.
I think
that's 3-game suspension is
through.
maybe exactly what Mount needs.
Yeah.
Okay, fair dues. I mean, you're going to go along with the 2 for the time being. I reckon Pice is going to give him a 0 anyway. So, for what it's worth. Pice, what are you going to give Mason Mount, bro?
I actually don't know. I don't know what to give him. Like, he was so bad. Someone sent me a stat. I'm not sure if it's true, but if it is true, then wow. Apparently, he's had 1 goal contribution in the last 18 Chelsea games. Not sure if that's true, but...
And you guys think Havertz is bad? Now, obviously, Mount's not the last few games, but obviously now that he's playing in a number 8 more, obviously his goal contributions will go down. Like, that is obviously going to happen compared to playing in a front 3 of a 3-4-3. But, yeah.
Well, he did score 2 against Villa. I don't know if that's 18 games ago. If it is, then fair play.
He did score 2 against Villa, that's true, and it's definitely not 18 games ago because that was in October. So whatever stat you read isn't quite true, but
I don't know.
maybe it's 2 in 18.
That's not too wrong.
And didn't he get an assist in Milan? So he did.
Don't know. Maybe it's someone who's watching the stream wants me to just say that and it's false. But anyway,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, he was bad. I mean, the one that irked me, I mean, slip is just whatever. That's frustrating, but why he tried to pass to Hall. Hall wasn't even like, it wasn't even like Hall was like, oh yeah, give it to me sort of thing. Like, he just passed it. It was weird. But yeah, I just thought he was really ineffective, to be honest. Especially because, like, you saw, like, I know Mount's not the quickest, but I think
he was outpaced by James Milner.
Yeah, no, I think Mudryk.
I was outraged.
Mudryk completed the most dribbles in the whole game, and he was on what? He hardly had the ball, to be honest with you. We hardly played it to him.
Yeah, okay, but that's more of a criticism for Ziyech, surely, the fact that Mudryk completed the most.
And Mount, because he was on that side. No, because Ziyech, at least you're playing Robertson. I mean, Mount against Milner
You're
didn't
judging
really do
it
anything.
off opposition. I was more judging it off position because how often was Mount actually in a wide area? That's more what I gone by, but fair.
Quite a lot, to be fair, from what I noticed.
Was
But
he on the ball?
yeah,
I feel like he never had the ball in wide areas, I thought. But fair. Not never, obviously. But hey,
I don't know.
let
I
me
don't know
interrupt
what
you.
to
Go
give
on, go
him.
on.
I don't know what to give him. 2, 3. I mean,
Hey, if you want to give him a
Right.
3, we can bring Bertram 3.5 back in and give him a 3.
trying to think what I'm going to give him points for, to be honest with you, because
Yeah.
just I don't know, man. Like, it's trying to think of something, trying to go back through the game.
Like I say, to me, those 2 good moments, and like Bertram and some people in the chat mentioned, maybe the pass to Mudryk wasn't even that good. Yeah, but see, what's his name? Goff GSS, whatever that means. Milner is 37, man. I mean, true, but Thiago Silva is 38. So you can't use it against the opposition, but say, oh, look how great Silva is anyway.
Did he play that? Did he play that sort of volley pass to Ziyech? Was that Ziyech's when he had the chance?
That's one of the 2 points I'm giving him.
Okay. Yeah, it was a nice ball. Shame he couldn't do that in the first half when we nearly conceded from his shoot pass. But yeah, I don't know. You guys decide. It's going to be low, whatever it is.
Fair enough. I guess give him a 2.5 then, somewhere between a 2, 3, 3.5, whatever it is. Fair. Let's go to Hakim Ziyech. Now, Fortmop lined it up as a 3-4-3. I disagree. Someone in the chat just said Ziyech played right wing back. I don't fully agree. Now, maybe a little bit like the way Thomas Tuchel used it on a couple of occasions against Spurs, where defensively he might have been a bit of a right wing back and offensively certainly wasn't. Maybe like that you could argue it, but he certainly was involved enough in forward areas to get a rating himself as a forward. And he was good. Now, there was this outrageous moment where I literally tweeted, Hakim Ziyech is a disgrace to every professional athlete, because how he got outmuscled and outpaced by Andy Robertson on that side was like, oh my days. I've never seen something so bad in my life. There was like Jorginho levels of weak and slow, but you know, we know it of Jorginho how slow he is. Ziyech is slow, but not that slow. Not Jorginho slow, but he somehow looked like Jorginho. But otherwise, he was obviously our best attacker. I mean, he created every chance we had. Really, that's what it felt like anyway. Might not quite be the case, but felt like it. That he created every chance we had, and he basically, to me, was involved in every positive moment. Really, maybe not every, because he wasn't involved in that Mudryk dribble through the box with Gallagher, but in everything else. I mean, his pass completion isn't great with 69%, but you're going to get that with someone like Hakim Ziyech, who's going to play a lot of worldy balls. If they come off, you're going to score. If they don't, you're not. Or he's obviously going to lose the ball. So his stats aren't that great. 3 out of 11 accurate crosses, 2 out of 4 accurate long balls, but I still think he was good overall. Now, that moment with his great dribble, I still think that was slightly ruined by just him taking too long to shoot, and then by the time he shot, it was just a dreadful shot. But I would still give him a 7. I think a 7 is fair. I think anything higher, you're lying to yourself. Even a 7's pushing it, because, I mean, we had 2 serious goal-scoring opportunities today, 3 maybe, plus a disallowed goal. So, I don't think you can go too high, but I still think when we create things, it was Hakim Ziyech that did. So I'm going to give him a 7. Pies, what would you give him?
Yeah, I think you're right. He definitely offered a lot with his crossing. I think he definitely could have had a goal. I mean, that would have been one of the goals of the season, but when he went on that run, but I think, I don't know. I was a little bit annoyed with, I don't know whether do you think he was good defensively? Because sometimes I think,
he was awful defensively.
No, yeah, I think
people are having a go at me for saying Cucurella and Jorginho was better than Ziyech. Now, Jorginho got the same rating, so no. And Cucurella, yes, we kept the clean sheet against Liverpool, but we didn't score. So yes, a forward isn't going to necessarily get a higher rate than a defender. You stupid, man. Ziyech fanboys are even worse than Pulisic fanboys. It's serious. It's just lucky that he doesn't play it more, because otherwise I'd get triggered by them a lot more regularly. Maybe they're also just more in my chat, but the Ziyech stands in my chat. My God, you people trigger me sometimes. Be objective, for flip's sake, man. You can love your guy, but be objective, man. You're just stupid. Sorry. Go back, Pies. But my God.
Yeah, no, I think I just don't think he was great defensively, to be honest. And I think that's why I was a bit unsure on Chalobah's rating. Probably why I went a little bit higher, because I think even Ziyech was deep for sure. He was in the right position, but I just think there was that one in the second half where Robertson just, I don't know, he just wasn't as snappy as Gallagher and Cucurella were, and other players that I noticed in terms of like just sharpness, playing quick passing, that type of thing. He just didn't really seem into the game. The game where he did, or the chances he did have in the game, the moments that he did well were when he had time and space to cross. I mean, that one to Mudryk was close, but it did look quite difficult to get on the end.
But
as
even
well.
if Mudryk gets it, then what's he gonna do?
Yeah, there was a couple others though. I think obviously, did he put the ball in for Badiashil's header? I believe he did. And then also, I think there was another one. There was another one, but I think another set piece where we nearly scored. So
did he play
Badiashile
for the disallowed goal too?
I was thinking he did, but I wasn't quite sure. But there's definitely a lot of crosses he did which were dangerous, and we know that. So you can't give him too low a rating. But I just again there was a shot at the end where it was blocked, and I was like, when we played out wide to him, I was like, yeah, this is definitely a goal. He's going to cut in on his left foot.
Yeah,
and it just wasn't quite there. So yeah, I'd give him a 7. He was definitely above average, but not higher than that. Just
I quickly just want to touch on something again. Ziyech becoming Kevin De Bruyne. Sorry, Kevin De Bruyne doesn't have 69% pass accuracy ever. Maybe at the World Cup. And Kevin De Bruyne also doesn't have 3 out of 11 completed crosses. Like, he was good, but, hold your horses, please. Bertram, are you going to agree on the 7? Or what do you think? I mean, Dre Tulloch says he was very wasteful and very selfish. He was going to give him a 5. I think that's a bit harsh, but maybe we're also just being nice because we're like a little bit of positivity in a game where we, didn't have that many chances. But the few that we had was Ziyech, to be fair.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. I think we're gonna get into debate. I'd give him a 7.5, to be honest. I think he was one of our most dangerous attackers, as you said. I think he was the one who created, especially during the second half. Other than when Mudryk came on, he was the one who always created. I think he was our best chance of scoring, if I'm honest. And I think we do miss what he does. When he has the ball on the right wing, he offers us an outlet, someone who can produce something special. And yes, I do agree. His crosses, other than the 1-2 Mudryk in the second half, they always seem to hit Alisson. But we always have someone who did something. I think the run produced, it inspired us a bit. And I think Ziyech gives something to us that we don't have. We might get it now with Madueke, but he has some star quality over him. And I think today he was really good. And I think he created some of our biggest chances, if I'm honest. So personally, I'd give him a 7.5. I think he was, you can't measure it to Cucurella's level, but I always felt that something was going to happen when he got it. And unfortunately, I thought he would score the final chance that did get blocked. But I think he was good. I think he was dangerous, most of all. Even though he did, lose the ball a couple of times, I think that's his job, and that's what we've been crying out for him to do. I think the reason that I wouldn't give him man of the match is, as Pice touched upon earlier, his defensive qualities, they do frustrate me sometimes, but that happens sometimes. So for me, I'd give him a 7.5.
Fair. I quickly want to highlight this one here by, all right, Stabby Max Stab. What is that icon? That Abby as well. Ziyech would be way better, but if he played through the middle, it's a weird one because Ziyech seems to play better every time he's on the wing, like properly on the wing. But whenever I watch him play on the wing, I feel like he would be way better in the middle. So it's so weird because he just doesn't have the pace to be a really great winger, but he needs the space of the wide areas to show his creativity, which is not a bad thing. That's a totally understandable thing. And by the way, I basically agree with every word that Bertram said. I just, 2 or 3 chances. Like, Mason Mount got 2.5. So, like, just trying to spread it out, I suppose. But Bertram did also want to give Mason Mount a 3.5, so I guess that is fair. Fair enough. It sits on the 7 regardless at the end. Now people are going to come for me, but I can't wait already. Kai Havertz. Before that, let me bring up this super chat by Araf. Pice, mostly to you. Is Kone still an option for January? I mean, if anything, I feel like Caicedo is still the option for January.
Yeah, I mean, Caicedo is definitely a priority, but yeah, they like Kone, especially Vivel. I know he really likes him. Saw him a lot in the Bundesliga, so
maybe that's why he purposely bottled the flipping Enzo deal.
Yeah, he's a good player, Kone. I just think I think Fabrizio said more likely in the summer, but I mean, who knows? Matt Law said, I think someone asked him in the comments as well, is he still an option? And Matt Law said there's lots of plates spinning at the moment inside the recruitment room and stuff like that. So there's definitely a lot of ideas going around. But yeah, I mean, based on today, I know we had Hall and Gallagher, but you just I'd love if we could get a top midfielder, and that'd boost us so much as well.
Mate, I would absolutely adore it. But I will be kind to the chat. A lot of people disagreed with, well, especially what myself and Pi said about Ziyech. I will give you a poll to give Ziyech a rating. I've given 5, 6, 7, and 8. Let's leave out the 0.5 ratings. And so far, after 30 votes, well, for a second, the 8 was winning. Now it's back to the 7, which is exactly what we gave him anyway. But sure, have a go at. But yeah, the chat will get their chance. So go for it. Kai Havertz. Now he scored. Wasn't his fault that it was offside, really. I will bring it up quickly because we do need to talk about this just quickly. Just a screenshot of the situation. If I can find it. There it is. Ignore whatever is said on the side. I can't do it otherwise. This is Thiago Silva's shot where Thiago Silva then proceeds to hit this left post over there. It comes back to Kai Havertz and he shoots first time with this foot. So with the foot that he touches the ball, can you see the cursor right on screen? Can you guys see the cursor? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I'm sharing this screen where I wasn't actually sure if it's showing the cursor or not. But yeah, so he shoots with this foot. He only touches the ball with this foot. But because this foot is ahead of the ball, it's offside. Now, I always went off, okay, he's either behind the ball, but the ball only matters if he's not behind the player. And I thought, well, he's behind Thiago Silva, so I can be offside. But apparently ball rules over body, actually, in this case. It's only the opposition's body that rules over the ball, which is something I was not quite aware of because how often does that happen? But yeah, and Havertz then scores into the far corner. It's unlucky. It's nothing but unlucky. Look at it. I mean, back in the day, without VAR, this, in my opinion, would be one of those occasions where you're like, benefit of the doubt to the attacker. He uses a foot that was clearly onside. He doesn't even touch the ball with the other foot. There's no advantage gained from it whatsoever. Just let it stand. But hey, the rules are the rules. It's offside. It's offside. What can you do? But it's unfortunate. Now, who knows if that goal goes in the second or third minute, that we necessarily win the game. But hey, we at least would have scored, and Liverpool wouldn't have kept the clean sheet. So that's for sure. But it's an unfortunate one. Outside of that, I thought Havertz was okay, especially for the first 35 minutes. Was pretty decent, I thought. Got less and less as the game went on. I would overall give him an average 6. I don't think he was bad. I don't think he was good. I would give him a 6. That's what I would say. Bacham, what would you give Kai?
I would go higher, to be honest. I think this was one of his better performances. Maybe not so much in the second half, but especially in the first half, I thought he at least created the one. He created both of the Mounts ones, actually, to be honest. The one where he slipped, and I think it was him at least. Yeah, I think it was pretty good, to be honest. For his standards. I think this isn't his type of game when we don't have the ball that much. But I think
we had the ball a lot, but not in attacking.
Not as ball heavy as we would. It was very end to end. So I'm struggling. I think I'd give him between a 7 or a 6.5 because I can't remember too much of his involvement during the second half. I think his first half warrants a 7. I think his second half warrants a 6. So I think that would amount to a 6.5. I thought it was encouraging from him today, to be honest. And I hope to see more of it today. If Liverpool hadn't, watered the pitch too much, who knows? He might have had an assist. But as for the goal as well, I think it's just unfortunate. You'd maybe wish he would stay in that position. But I think a 6.5 would be fair to him. I think he was slightly above average. And I hope to see more from him as well.
Okay. I don't really did this last game already. I just find it fun when the chat lose their mind at me not hating Havertz. You have fun sucking off Ziyech and hating Havertz, and I'll just suck off Havertz. Joking, obviously. 6.5 Pice. How much lower are you going to push this one?
I'm actually going to go higher, which might surprise you.
Unbelievable scenes.
I know, I'm not a real big fan of Havertz, but I think he played quite well today, honestly. I do. He didn't. The thing that annoys me most about Havertz is always, usually just passing the ball or just being sloppy or just, I don't know, just not being involved. But I think he did quite well. I'm going to go over 7. I think, especially hold-up playing like aerial, I've just seen he won 6 out of 7 aerial duels, which is pretty impressive. I think he led the line well. I think he pressed well. I think he was just better on the ball as well today than he usually is. There was one pass that pissed me off when he tried to play it first time. I believe it was to Mount. I was like, oh my God, don't do that again, please. But I just think he I think he led the line well. Nothing special, but 7, I think.
Okay. But are you going to raise your 6.5 to a 7 or stick to the 6.5?
Now I'll stick for the 6.5. But I'm happy to see that Pice is in the same boat as
happy
well.
to see that too. I feel almost like I'm committing a crime here by not raising mine to a 7 just to give it, to highlight the fact that Pice was positive about Havertz, but I'm going to stick to my 6.5. Yeah. Even for me, like the first half was a 7, second half was a 6. 6.5 is fair. Yeah. So, because people say he was bad in the second half, like he didn't do much, but how often did we get the ball to Havertz? Like people just say, "Oh, he's invisible." That's why it was awful. But how often did the ball actually get to him? People suck off Ziyech. Ziyech tried a lot of balls to Havertz, but how many of them actually found Havertz? Right. So like in the second half, to me, was like, well, he couldn't really do that much more. And then he was obviously subbed off anyway. So. Yeah, and we were definitely worse after when flipping Aubameyang came on. That's for sure. But anyway, let's get to those subs. And if there's flipping helicopters, people stop crashing when trying to ski. Too many helicopters. Mykhailo, as apparently it is pronounced, Mudryk. I'm going to switch this around, put man into the midfield here. Wow. Yeah, I mean, the guy hasn't played since November 23rd in a competitive game. Boy, is he quick. I mean, we knew that he's quick, but boy, is he quick. It's outrageous. It is outrageous. The close control when, I mean, he started it, played it to Gallagher. Gallagher basically didn't control the ball properly again. And Mudryk just took it back off Gallagher before the opponents could. And then just close control. If he scored that, would have been outrageous. Even Steven Gerrard is over the moon about Mykhailo Mudryk. I mean, that's outrageous. My God, I love it. I absolutely love it. Do a poll on Mudryk rating, Sammy. All right, maybe I will do, but we'll see how in conclusion we are or not. I do think he could have scored. I can't remember who played the cross to him when he attempted to control it with his right. I think if he should go for the shot with his left. But again, it's his first game. He comes from the Ukrainian league. He's playing at Anfield. He's like, as much as he cost a lot of money, he's only 22. He's only just turned 22 as well. So like, let him off a little bit, but he still could have scored that, in my opinion. But on another day, in a few weeks' time, I'm very confident he will, because the pace, the confidence, the control. The only other thing I'd say is he seems to have 2 buttons, and it's either R2 or nothing. He's either walking or sprinting. There's no running. There's either full pelt or just walking around. So I need a little bit more of that, but I'm sure that will happen with instructions when she gets more used to the language as well. But yeah, as a sub rating and as the excitement that he brought, and as the excitement, especially at that point in the second half, Liverpool were all over us from the beginning of the second half. He came on and things changed. And I only wish that we, where he got Milner booked from that Mount pass and he just was about to steam past him. I think we should have just tried everything we could to play that same pass again. Just force it down that side and see, before they made the change and took Milner off for Trent, to play that ball again, to either get Milner sent off or to go through and goal. We should have forced that. I don't understand why we don't do that. To me, it's a lack of in-game IQ from pretty much all of our players, that they don't comprehend that. I know you have instructions. You're told attack this and this way, but I find it weird. And one other thing I found a bit strange is how deep he remained often, even when we got the ball into final areas. I was like, push high a little bit. But again, that will come. He played as a wide left mid usually for Shakhtar in a 4-1-4-1. So not too surprising that he might take a little bit of a time to maybe adjust to that. But wow. I'm going to give him an 8 with a star. I've seen in the chat some 9 with the star, some 7, 7.5 with the star. Yeah, I mean, just for the impact, for turning us from a team that was under the cosh, looked like no chance of scoring in that second half. He comes on, and it immediately felt like, and maybe this is more psychology than reality, but it just immediately felt like we could score any second now. And very few players have had that effect. I mean, João Felix was very good against Fulham, but didn't make me feel like we could going to score in the second now. Having both, oh my God, I'm going to be over the moon. I mean, my God.
And Madueke on the other side.
I just can't wait for when Felix is back. That's what I can't wait for. But Pice, you were going to say, go on.
I was going to say, bro, and if Madueke can stay fit, my God, like he's just, I've seen him.
No, my chat will hate it because Ziyech can't play then. What are we going to do?
But like, honestly, just bring me, Mudryk will play against Fulham, but bring me that West Ham away game. I'm so gassed, bro. Every time we get the ball, I just feel like we're just going to do something with these lots. So Yeah, Mudryk was good. Again, I do think like you maybe could have scored. Oh man, that dribble and then the shot. I wish he didn't hit that into the side netting, but your mic's on mute.
I didn't even mean that one. I mean, he could have probably scored that one as well, but I meant the
you
cross.
meant the cross. Ziyech did, yeah. Ziyech did. See, on the replay, I thought, when you watch it sometimes on a replay, I just thought, honestly, I thought he did what, like he couldn't really, I don't know, like it was a bit of a, I feel like it was a tad overhit, but in real time, you watch it, you think you could have just probably volleyed it, but it would have been a hard goal to score as well if he volleyed it.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
Maybe I wouldn't have expected him necessarily to put the volley in, but I would have liked to see him try the volley rather than try to control it and bounce out of play.
But like I'm surprised. Honestly, we didn't get the ball to him more. Like I'm really surprised. Like especially when Milner got booked. Like you said, I'd be if I'm the manager and this is just me. I'd be like I'd be screaming to give the ball to Cucurella, play a ball straight down, and just let him run. Like it's just. Because they were still playing a high line, even in 80th minute, they were still leaving us chances. So, yeah, I mean, what I think the most positive sign is that dribbling he's got in tight spaces. That is exactly what you need against a deep block. Because now I don't have any worries. Because Werner had pace, but he couldn't dribble. He didn't. He couldn't dribble. He could never dribble. No. You know what I mean? What he did in that tight space against, I don't know who the defenders were, but that's how you unlock deep blocks. So. I'm very excited to see him play again. I agree. I'll stick with an 8. Honestly, he would have got a 10 if he won us the game because he was just ridiculous. But
mate, I would have given him a 100 if he won us the game. I would have been over the moon, man. I mean, I said before the game, just when he didn't start, just keep it at 0-0.
I am
until Mudryk comes on. That's the objective for the other 11.
I was just gonna say, I did notice as well, like as you said, he wasn't moving around loads. I do think. Based off what Graham Potter said, I'm surprised he brought him on in the 52nd minute because he said back end of the game. And I thought maybe that means 20, 25, 30 at absolute maximum. But maybe he was just, maybe he was being careful.
I think it was just because we were under the caution. He was like, I need to bring him on earlier. Because everyone could see that we needed some extra pace on the wing. Everyone could see that.
Because that was the moment, like early second half, we were getting absolutely peppered. Yeah. Potter was just like, yeah, right, that's it. Bring Mudryk
and to be fair, we criticised Potter in the past for not doing that. So I guess fair play,
Good. It's good. It's all right if you can do it and he doesn't get injured, which he didn't. So yeah, it's good.
Exactly. And maybe you make a fair point, actually. Maybe that is why, not sure if it was medical team or managerial instruction or on his own, where you're like, I'm not 100% ready, fit yet. So I'm going to try to not overdo it with the running to get myself injured. So, in the end, it worked out. Oh, I guess if he would have run more, maybe we would have scored then. We will never know for sure.
He picked his moments well, though.
Go on.
I was just going to say, I think he picked his moments to explode very well. That's what I would say.
I agree with you.
He was definitely keeping up with the play as well. When Ziyech was a couple outside, he was definitely up there. So it wasn't like he wasn't running, but
no, it's true.
Yeah.
He made sure he was there when he needed to be there. I agree. Bacham, are you going to agree with that 8? Obviously 8 with a star as a sub.
I'd almost give him an 8.5 because 8.5 kind of sounds like oof, what a player we have in our hands here. He just came in and gave us what we've been searching for such a long time. Not only is he absolutely rapid, something we saw quick with the pass to Milner, but also his close control. I think multiple times in the midfield when he got the ball, he was able to. He had a couple of heel passes in as well. Couple of passes under pressure. Wasn't it him who made the chance to Carney as well? Great passing. He looks like a good player. And when we buy a tricky winger and he comes into Anfield, only played in the Ukrainian league, and he did well under pressure as well. I thank God he stopped the goal where he dribbled around them because we wouldn't have been able to handle that. Could you imagine? 2 weeks comes in. Scores a goal at Anfield, and then just leaves. We wouldn't have been able to contain ourselves if that went in, if I'm honest. But brilliant player. I hope he keeps fit. Something you always have to wish whenever they sign for us. But a real player we have on our hands, and he brings us something which we don't have. So really, uprising. And yeah, you touched upon it before. The attack with him and Joao and Madueke as well. We are genuinely close to cooking. It's going to be fantastic. So I'm
not going to include Madueke in any attacks until I see him not get injured for 2 months.
He has 2 weeks to build it up. So
No, he does.
great.
And he was in season, unlike Mudryk. So Madueke, from next game onwards, if he's good enough to start, then he will start. The question is, will he be picked over Ziyech or potentially starting if he's?
And if you need some optimism, you have to watch the. I think it's like their Community Shield in Holland when they beat Ajax 4-0. What a player! Direct, a cannon of a foot as well. That really encouraged me. It's always the video playing in my head whenever I hear his name. You need to watch that video. We have 2 weeks to do it now. So
let's hope as well. Let's hope Sterling plays better with more, with better attackers. I guess. Hopefully,
absolutely.
As well.
Yeah. I have been very critical of Sterling. People are aware of this, but obviously, if he starts playing better, then I'm not going to be critical anymore, am I? I did put a poll in the chat as well, by the way, the 7-1 for Hakim Ziyech. So all of you in the chat are like, your ratings are awful, shocking. Well, the chat agreed. But anyway, Mudryk sub rating. There's a poll in the chat as well. If you want to get involved, 2% have so far voted for 6. Not sure what planet you live on. Sports also was like his finish, his miss was awful. This is a bit hard, huh? But anyway, so far the 8 is winning with 43%, but get involved at the top of the chat to get your rating involved. All right, let's get the other subs then. Mason Mount was replaced by Chukwuemeka. Kai Havertz was replaced by Aubameyang. We will get to that, but it should have been for fun. A lot of people in the chat and on Twitter were very unhappy about that. And Aspie came on for Trevor Chalobah. One thing I do want to say, we'll start with Chukwuemeka, because why not? Chukwuemeka hates is from now on banned on this channel, because I have learned that Chukwuemeka was born in Austria. No idea how that's happened, and no idea how I have known about it.
Was he actually?
That's he was. He was born in Austria.
Your new favorite player.
No idea how it happened, but he was. So big fan of him now. Unfortunately, he fell over in the middle of the box when he should have scored the winner. That was a bit unfortunate. Yeah, what can I say? That was really his one main moment, and he tripped. I mean, it's unlucky, but he tripped. So what are we going to do? I mean, he didn't. Ruben replaced Laurenz? Nah. Ruben's still top. Reece is second. Well, I was going to say Mudryk is now third, but now Chukwuemeka. But yeah, love it. Chukwuemeka over Mount, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. But I don't know really what rating to give him, because these last 3 subs, they all came on in the 81st minute. So is giving Chukwuemeka a rating just because he fell over not harsh? Although I also kind of want to give Aspie a rating. The only one is Aubameyang, where I'm like, I didn't even, did Aubameyang even touch the ball? 4 times. So, I guess, but 4 times, Aubameyang definitely gets an NA. But, I mean, Pice, would you give Chukwuemeka a rating? It's very unfortunate he fell over there, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there was also another one where he ran in the box and someone tackled him before he shot. I thought he could have got the shot off quicker. Maybe toe poked it, but yeah, I mean, they need investigating for the extra sprinklers today. My God. Why was everyone slipping, bro?
I mean, at least the Chukwuemeka one was a trip, the important one, not a slip. But yeah, I agree, mate.
It was flying everywhere. But yeah, rating. I guess we could give him maybe a 6. To be fair, I think he was all right. Just unfortunate in those big moments, or that big moment he did fall over. But yeah,
he was fuming at himself or at the situation as well. So I
also think Chukwuemeka is someone, I mean, I can't remember what game it was, but after one of the games at home, he said that he needs that time to get into the game. So when he comes on late, it's quite difficult for him. So I think I have to take that into account as well. I don't want to be too harsh on him, but I still think he's very young.
PR from a player's manager. I'm not a super sub. I need time.
Pretty much. Yeah, he was like, I had to try and get in the game. I need that time to get in the game. So yeah, I think it was the first game he started. I can't remember who he played now, but anyway, yeah, I noticed he said that.
I would agree, and I heavily disagree with a comment like this from Vicky. Chukwuemeka is not Chelsea level. He played like his pants was falling.
Oh, come on, he's definitely Chelsea level, bro.
Push for Champions League or top 4. It's not Carney. He's not that guy. No. He's 8. He's 20 now, but he's or is he 19? He's so young, man. Like, you people are just insane. Like, again, you might not be happy with that we're signing so many young players, but to say they're not Chelsea level just because they're young, it's just stupendous, utterly stupendous. It's like you haven't heard the word developing. Like, yeah,
the way
I'm
he carries the
aware
ball.
Chelsea haven't been capable of developing players since we had Thomas Tuchel in charge. I'm aware, but it doesn't always need to be that way. That's
Look at
why
the
some
way he
people are
carries the
crying
ball.
after Tuchel more than others, because some people want to actually develop players and improve them, not just have them the same for God knows how many years. Flip's sake. Sorry, I didn't even mean to. Tuchel got straight. Yeah. My bad. I hope rehab's going well. Bacham, you going to agree with that 6? I would agree with it.
Yeah, I suppose he was fine. I also do agree that he is Chelsea level as well. He does look a bit dangerous when he gets the ball, but there is, it's clear that he needs some development time as well. He's not going to be the best player at all to start with, but there's a player there. I think we saw against City as well. So really frustrating though the fact that he did slip, but it is what happens. It could be worse slipping in this fixture at Anfield. Someone has done it to a higher level, you could say, but I suppose he's fine. I think a 6 is all right. What you'd expect from someone coming on. So yeah, casual 6.
Terrible cameo. You people are harsh, man. But hey, is what it is. I want to give a shout out to Aspie here, by the way. Now, I know it was offside in the end anyway, but that block that he got off on the Nunez shot late on was a big block. Again, it was offside, so it wouldn't have stood regardless. But that's a big block. And I feel like he had a block just shortly before that too. Again, I don't want him starting. I don't think he should be starting games, whether we sign in an ideal world Malo Gusto or not. Who knows? Again, I would love it. But if we don't, or what's the other kid called who now Arsenal and Newcastle are apparently chasing, the guy from Real Valladolid. But as a player to bring on in a game, to see out a game, I don't hate Aspie. Again, I still want him gone in the summer, but the season is long. Still, Tuchel has always been excellent with youngsters. I don't know what kind of fake world you live in, but sure. Yeah, Aspie, obviously wasn't much, but for those 2 blocks, I was happy with those. And I'm going to give him a 7 with the star. You guys can say an 8, that's absolutely fine. But Bertram, would you give him a rating for those things? Or yes, even for an 8, that's it. 7.
I'd give him a 7 as well. I thought he was good, with the gray beard beginning to show. I think he was excellent in seeing the game out. I think especially the cross that came in where he chested it down. No, I know there wasn't anyone behind him, but I still liked it anyway. So it's not going to stop me from giving him a 7.
Pulse,
he dealt with
you going to agree on the 7? Do you want to give him a rating at all?
Who? Aspie.
Yeah, Aspie.
I'll give him a 6.5. I think that chest down experience, he gave us some experience when he came on. Yeah, maybe a 6. No, 6.5. I got 6.5.
Okay,
yeah, he was all right.
I think we can all agree that Aubameyang gets an NA, not necessarily because he did anything wrong, just he had 4 touches. So it's always difficult in that situation. All right then. Where do I put Potter? I don't know. Put him with Jorginho. Fits there the best. Graham Potter's rating. I know at some point last season we still did like performance ratings. I think we went away from those ones again. Maybe we should bring those back. I don't know. But for the time being, Graham Potter. What we saying today? Like, are people not happy? Like, I know you and Jem in the group chat weren't happy that there was no halftime subs. Maybe this is just a slightly different opinion. I understand why managers don't immediately make halftime subs, because at halftime the manager obviously has the opportunity to talk to the players. So you can also tell the players that are on the pitch already to do things slightly differently, right? So, and then you need to see, okay, does that work? And then if it doesn't, you make a sub. And I guess he did in the 55th minute. So still within 10 minutes of halftime, he still made a sub. Not maybe the sub we expected. I guess he still changed the midfield by taking Hall off, pushing Mount back into midfield. But in the grand scheme of things, I think he coached a good game today. I mean, we were defensively solid, especially for the first half an hour. If we have a more, fit and informed attack, just in that first half an hour, we're 2-3-0 up, really, because we played really well in that period of the game. Now, in the beginning of the second half, Liverpool were on top, but it's Anfield. Do you really think, especially in the moment we're in, we're going to go to Anfield and dominate every second of the game? If so, you live in a dream world. That's never going to happen. That doesn't happen to Man City either. You don't go to Anfield and dominate the whole game. Never happens. That's never going to happen ever. Should have Mount been subbed earlier? Maybe. But then again, half of the chat slagged off Chukwuemeka anyway. So what do you want then? I'm going to give Potter the same. It's only a draw, but I'm going to give him a 7. He got a 7 last time, even though we won. I think I'm going to give him a 7, even though we didn't win today. I think he did things good today. Yeah, maybe someone like Mount could have come off earlier because he was poor. Maybe you should have even taken off Mount over Lewis Hall, even though I understand that that decision because lack of experience. Lewis was struggling, especially in the beginning of the second half. But I still think a 7 is justified. Bertrand, would you agree? Would you go higher? Would you go lower? What do you think?
Well, I'm personally between the 7.7 and a 7.5. I think he did coach a decent team, but I also think that it was a terrible football game. It was terrible. I think Liverpool were really, really, really poor. So I think I'd give Potter a benefit of the doubt. I think he set a team up which it did create chances. I think a more habitable strike force would have scored. One of the Mount chances perhaps. Maybe he could, Havertz is an offside as well. So I think he did pretty well. I think he did reasonably. I think I would end up giving him a 7 as well. I think he did coach a good team to put out there. I think we were the better side away at Anfield, even though, I don't really care what state Liverpool are in. I think that's a difficult thing to do. And I think it isn't his fault that we're not winning today. I thought he managed the subs, decently as well. So, I'd give him a 7. I think he was above average.
Okay,
good. Pice, 2 7s so far. Are you going to change that? Are you going to agree? What do you think, Graham Potter?
No, I'm actually going to give him an 8. I think I'm going to give him an 8. I think I was really happy with today. The result, I think, disappointing. Give Potter a better players, better team put out. I think we win this game easily. You could say the same for Liverpool, but I generally think, yeah, I can't wait for the return fixture whenever we end up playing them at Stamford Bridge because, yeah, man, I think he got the tactics right today in terms of the midfield. Definitely, I know on the ball was bad, but I think the idea was right. I think to press them high and not really allow them space. So. Yeah, I think everything went pretty well today. I can't remember a game at Anfield where I've sat back like that. I was actually quite comfortable at times.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
Yeah, I have to give him an 8. The only reason why it's not higher, 1, we didn't win. 2, I think I know what you're saying about halftime, but for me, I would have subbed Hall off at halftime. And well, I mean the subs.
I would have subbed Mount off before Hall, genuinely. Now,
true, yeah,
at the beginning of the second half,
yeah.
I then understood. But if you asked me at halftime, I would have picked Mount over Hall, honestly.
Yeah, I mean the thing is with if you take Mount off, you probably have to bring Aubameyang on the wing, and then you probably, I don't know when you then who would you sub off then for Mudryk? So
I guess Havertz and put Aubameyang.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
I assume then. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it was a decent game to be honest. I just wish we win, but yeah, I don't remember a game where at Anfield where we was that comfortable. To be honest, I think players did well.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. Obviously, they have their own issues. We have our own issues. But I do find it funny how when the other team has reasons to not be very good, the media and our own fans are like, yeah, but it's Liverpool have injuries. That's it's nothing special today. Blah, blah, blah. But awful anyway. But when we have injuries, way more than Liverpool do, nearly double, maybe more than double of what Liverpool do, then we don't get an excuse. We're just Potter's shit, the players are shit, everyone's shit. I mean, it's just fans. But hey, it is. In Potts 20 matches, what pattern of play have you seen? This is a question that Potter haters love to ask, isn't it? So they love to ask it. And to some extent, I will be perfectly honest with you, you can't just give a simple answer to this because there's certain issues that I see which is yet to be confirmed whether those are instructional issues, tactical issues, or player issues. Like, for example, Cucurella just refusing to play the ball to Mudryk when Mudryk had come on. Why did Cucurella always play in the middle or back, never to Mudryk? Why? I don't understand things like that. Also, the fact that we build play so slowly is an issue. But will that change once we have players back fit and players better players? I think so. But I think the pattern that you can see is the way we want to fill the box with midfielders. And create overloads that way, and not necessarily push both fullbacks up. I think we're always going to be a team under Potter. At least that's what I feel like now. It could change where we're only going to have one fullback be super attacking. It's going to be very interesting what happens when Chilwell is back and we have Reece and Chilwell. Are we still going to only have one attacking fullback? Going to be interesting. But we rather fill that with midfielders and then one fullback stays back to still have defensive shape. Because if you push midfielders up and both fullbacks, well, then you lost all shape and you're super susceptible to counterattacks. But it's to some extent a valid question. To some extent, it is also just give it a little bit of time when we actually have the players that we're going to use, that's one thing I'll say. I have one question to you boys before we round this one out that I do quickly want to touch on. What are we going to do with Hakim Ziyech now? Because in the last 2 games, he was our one and only creative outlet. Now, of course, we signed some more players, but are we really in a position where we should sell Hakim Ziyech right now? Like in the summer, it's maybe a different situation again, but there's still talk of us potentially selling him in January. I'm not sure if that's realistic, or at least getting rid of him potentially in the loan, maybe with an option to buy, obligation to buy. But do you guys really think that that's what we should be doing now? I'll go with you first, Pice. Like he is at the moment the one and only creative player. Now Mudryk might turn into that, Madueke might turn into that, but as of today, we don't know that. And our next game is after the window has shut. So we need to make this decision before seeing us play again and seeing if those other players can make that change.
I think there's a simple answer to this. If we get a good bid, 25 mil plus, 25 mil plus, I think that's actually cheap for Ziyech, but if we actually get that in, then I think we have to cash in. But if there's like, I beg we don't put him on loan or something like that. Like, I don't care. Like, just the only time we should be selling players right now, especially with all our injuries, is if we get actual decent offers. So
but that's the issue though, because by the time we next play, I assume Sterling will be back, for example. So like, then you're going to be in less of it, and you'll have Madueke, obviously. So then you will be in less of a bad need, right? In that sense.
Yeah, I think they will trust Madueke and Sterling, but it's a bit risky, if Madueke or Sterling get injured again. I mean, you've kind of back to one right winger. So I mean, you got Hutchinson, but he doesn't look ready. So yeah, I mean, it's a good question, but I think they'll be selling if a bid comes in. I don't think a bid will come in though. Like I don't see it. Like who's?
Yeah, I think if we sell him, it's more gonna have to be a case of us going to clubs. Do you want Ziyech? Then maybe they say yes, rather than us waiting for a bid.
Yeah, I'm probably already doing that, to be fair. But
maybe, yeah, to be fair. Go on.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because I don't mind him staying. I don't think he'll. I mean, It doesn't. I mean, he's a bit of an arrogant guy, but I don't think he'll cause massive amounts of problems. He looks. Even if you watch I watch all the training videos and unseen and all that, and he actually looks quite good for the group. So. It's a difficult one because I know
it's not like he's played regularly so far and he hasn't really kicked up a fuss yet.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, ideally you keep him, to be honest, until the summer. But if a bid comes in and it's a good amount, I ain't gonna be too mad. It's one of those. See how it plays out, but don't put him on loan for God's sake. Like if he goes on
unless
loan,
it's an obligation, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess even in like a swap deal or something, like if it's for some like guy.
Well, unless Benfica want him, then get put up with the swap deal.
But
yeah,
I just don't want to be left unsatisfied.
I hear what you're saying. It's a difficult one, right? I do then, if we decide to keep him, whether it's for a lack of offers or for simply deciding to do so, I do have to question the signing for Madueke again, though, because surely then you would have just waited until the summer for Madueke, see if he keeps getting injured or not.
Well, I said that, didn't I?
How many bigger clubs than us would have tried to sign Madueke in the summer, realistically? Probably not that many. So if you kept Ziyech, you might as well. Because assuming Ziyech comes back, eventually even Pulisic will come back, but Sterling comes back, I meant initially. Sterling, at some point even Pulisic, but less so for the right side. So you'd have Sterling, Madueke, and Ziyech all for the right side. Like, what are you going to do for the rest of the season? And also was part of how I explained to myself a logic of signing Madueke was he's English. We can sell Hakim Ziyech. Therefore, we have another registration spot in the Champions League. Now, I guess it depends on how many others we're still going to sign. Now, it seems like the Thuram thing is dead, so I don't think we're going to get another forward. But another right back could happen. Another midfielder could happen. And then we don't have enough registration spots. So then someone like Ziyech needs to go, and we can replace him with Madueke, who will count as homegrown in that sense. So it's a tough one. Bertrand, what is your thoughts on this? Do you think we should sell Ziyech in the remaining 9 days, not 10 days of the window, or rather wait until the summer?
Nah, I think we should keep him. I do quite like Ziyech. I think I don't really see a reason to. Before you will put up the registration thing. I don't know, man. I think we signed Madueke. I see why. Let's say he balled out on the second half of the season, and then suddenly there would be people in, and his price would be higher. So I understand why we get him now. I don't think that we have. I know we have a lot of other attackers, but right now we're looking at it. Okay, we have the players who started now. We have Mudryk. We have Joao coming back. Stuff like this. But we have someone like Pulisic, Sterling. We don't know how they're going to come back, and I don't think not because they're not right wingers. I think it would be quite a risk to sell Ziyech now. For a Madueke who is injured, who we don't know how he's going to react to the league and stuff like this. And I think especially I've seen Newcastle who are interested. I understand that we're not in a top 4 battle as they are, so they're not like a direct competitor. But it doesn't really make sense for me to sell him to another Premier League record.
Newcastle. I wouldn't give
exactly, and I think no, and I do think he is good. So I think I personally would keep him because I don't really believe in the other attackers. I think with the performance he laid in today, I think he is one of our better attackers. But I don't think the Madueke signing changes it that much for me. And I think it's unfortunate timing that we don't have the window closes before the next game. So yeah, unless we get like a huge offer for him from somewhere else like Ajax or something, I think we could keep him. And I think, he does have that stature around him where you think he's quite arrogant, but he doesn't kick up a fuss. And I think that's just a demeanor he has. I don't think he's actually like that. I think he's, a nice guy, probably, I don't know. I assume. So I would keep him because Madueke is, it's a bit of a wild card.
Yeah. It's part of what, because I'm equally as, well, I say equally as undecided. Patrick is quite decided on keeping him, but somewhat undecided like Pice, because another worry that I'd have is if we don't, how many players will be trying to get rid of in the summer? Because, we can't run around with a squad of 30. You can't. So, if you have to sell 5, 6, 7 players in the summer, that's going to be not easy to find suitors for all these clubs. I feel like if you at least split it over 2 windows, that's a little bit more like possible and feasible. It's a difficult one. I understand. I'm at a point right now where I'm like, I accept if we sell him, and I accept if we keep him. In January, both are acceptable to me. But like Bertram has said, we won't have seen Madueke before that decision needs to be made. We won't have seen how Sterling is going to do. The only thing I will say is, regardless of how Sterling will do, Potter will probably pick him over Ziyech regardless. So, once Sterling is fit, no matter if he's in good form or not, he will play over Ziyech. So then, you could still argue, I guess we could have just added another Champions League registration spot, because I think as of now, we're okay still. But if we sign Caicedo, I don't think, Pice, tell me if I'm wrong on this, but I'm not sure if you know. I think if we sign Caicedo, we couldn't, unless he's been here for long enough to count as that. But if we sign Caicedo, I don't think we can play Caicedo in the Champions League. Or we have to then make a decision of Caicedo, Badiashile, Joao Felix, and Mudryk, who we can register.
Yeah, so it would be, we'd be able to choose 3 out of those 4 players. You'd have to leave someone out.
Exactly. So that's why I'm like, is that what we want to be doing? Because you can't apparently just deregister someone if the player doesn't leave. So that again, if we do get Caicedo, we will definitely want to be using him. That's for flipping sure. And with how Badiashile has played at least his first 2 games, he sure will want him in the team. Obviously, Felix and Mudryk as well. So then what?
Well, yeah, at the moment you got. Madueke and Badiashile could be left out for Felix, Mudryk, and Caicedo if we get him. That's why.
Madueke will count anyway because he's homegrown, right? So
I don't think. For some reason, I don't.
I thought he can anyway, but I could be wrong.
On Twitter, I'm pretty sure it was
okay. But then it doesn't matter if Ziyech goes down, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether. Yeah, I'll have to double check.
Okay. Okay. We need to figure out. Sterling can arguably be better for City when he was on the right than he was on the left, and he's played on the right the last few games for Chelsea before he got injured. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, we just hit the 2-hour mark, so I think it's about time we round this one out. Thank you guys for watching. If you have, please do subscribe. If you haven't already, that'd be massively appreciated. Every single new subscriber counts. There's still over 200 of you here, so please do hit that big red subscribe button. That'd be massively appreciated. Smash the like button on your way out as well. Let's see how many we're on. To be fair, we are on 136. But I'm sure a few of you that have a Google account are still here that haven't hit the like yet. So please do on your way out. Helps me spread these streams and videos out to more people, and that's how us creators grow. Please do check out Pice's website down in the description below, chelseafc365.com, and please do follow Pice and Bertram on their Twitters. I'll link down below, even if Bertram doesn't use it. Follow him anyway. If you want to say, Bertram, you're great, you can DM him that. Exactly. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea, upwards and onwards, and we'll see you next time.